Okay. I haven't read this one yet, but
That's what makes it good.
Here we go. So I'm on the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows, and it's a great website, and it has a lot of words for feelings that people experience but never knew how to describe. So this one here is called, and I'm just going to read this here, and just, if you guys have felt this before, let's talk about it. Okay. This is new to me. Nighthawk, a reoccurring thought that only seems to strike you late at night. An overdue task, a nagging guilt, a looming shapeless future that circles high overhead during the day, that peeks at the back of your mind while you try to sleep, that you can successfully ignore for weeks only to feel its presence hovering outside the window, waiting for you to finish your coffee, passing the time by quietly building a nest. Something that comes to you late at night, you'll forget about for weeks.
That one you can get really close to. That's like an uncomfortably close one that you have to kind of shove down your throat a little bit.
I'll say yes, but I wouldn't say. I'd say it's almost the opposite. I'm a really good problem solver at night. During the day, I overthink, and I make a bigger deal out of things. I make a mountain out of a molehill. And during night, I'm very rational, and I come to conclusions a lot easier than during the day. You think
it's rational, or do you think you're just more creative at night?
I wouldn't. Well, maybe rational is not the right word, but more direct in my decisions, more decisive at night.
Yeah, because I feel like when you're like late at night, you're way more in touch with just how you're feeling, your emotions.
Yeah.
And so you know exactly what you want.
And I'm way more okay with failing at nighttime too. If I do something wrong per se, I'm way more okay with dealing with the consequences and fixing it at night.
Like thinking about the fact that you're gonna have to do that, or just like right there in the moment.
It's just doing it. And knowing that it might not work.
Do you do you ever have any experiences where you regret something that you did during the night?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Does it have anything to do with like substances, or is it just like completely natural, like melatonin induced?
It's natural, yeah. Or it's a lot of coffee.
Just finally wearing off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because maybe it's like the coffee during the day that. Yeah, I don't know.
I love coffee though. Coffee, obviously coffee is a stimulant. Yeah. But for me, it definitely seems to, it seems to make me more comfortable with my surroundings. Like I just feel more, like when I feel more awake. I don't know. It's probably a pretty obvious statement. But
I have no, because I get like, I've taken coffee for like a tiny bit of my life, and that was at the end of the last school year.
I've taken coffee.
Yeah, no. Okay, every time I say coffee, I always refer to it like a drug. Like I was doing coffee, right? Like I took some coffee.
I took some coffee.
But because I just drink it black, like I'm taking it, right? I just swig it down as fast as I can.
Intravenously.
I would do that only during like the last few months of school. Is when I got into coffee. And then the moment school got out, or even during weekends, I wouldn't take any. And because I'm so sensitive to it.
That goes away.
Well, I can't. Well, the thing, like I started off, I could do like, we have these coffee packets, so I could do like an entire packet of coffee, or at least like, most of it. And then I'd be cool the whole day. And then all this, like for some reason, I did like maybe half. And that was too much. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what shifted there. And then I haven't been able to even get back up to like half a packet since. And so like I took one in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning before school, had a doctor's appointment after school. They took my heart rate. It was 90. And I don't know, my resting
heart rate. Resting heart rate there.
Yeah. Closer to like 70 probably.
Yeah.
Something like that. So it's just insane to see 90 right there. Because I could feel it.
Well, sometimes the doctor's office even subconsciously has a way of making people anxious. It's happened to me before.
Oh, no, it was all day, though. I was feeling the same way. Like,
I've gone to the doctor's office. They've taken my blood pressure. It's like, it's high, like abnormally high. And it's just been anxiety.
From the doctors?
Yeah. Even though I don't have a rational fear of doctor's offices, but there's something about going in there that just kind of gets you going,
Yeah, it's like the whole thing of like, okay, don't cough now. And then you have to cough because...
Right.
Where it's really what they're saying is, hey, don't have high blood pressure. We're seeing if you have high blood pressure, don't do it. Don't have it.
Right.
I'm telling you, don't do it. It's going to be bad if you have high blood pressure.
It's like the opposite is also true, because you go in there because your leg is hurting, and they're like, okay, so where does it hurt? And you're like, well, it doesn't hurt now. Not now that I'm in front of you, it doesn't hurt, you know? Like, you don't have the problem when you're actually there.
I've had this occasional like pain in my side, like mid side, for the past. When did it start? Probably started in October. So we're coming up on a year now in a few months, and it's not constant, and it's really not that bad. But I went to the doctor's office once, and he didn't know what was wrong with it. He said just keep watching it. And then I had an X-ray and a CT scan of my abdomen, and none of it found anything, and it still just hurts. So it's like, well, what am I gonna do? He's like, I don't know. It's like, dude, I'm paying you to fix this. He's like, I don't know, really. It doesn't seem like a muscle, but we can't find anything wrong with you. So it's like, well, what good does that do?
Dude, we can talk about muscle tearing. I got a funny story about that. At some, I want to talk about Nighthawk just a little.
Okay, let's go back to
so,
it. Bringing it back
dude,
for the people.
Don't, every once in a while, I just get this like thought of this existential dread while laying in bed. And if I think about it,
okay, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, if you think about it like outside of that context, it's like hanging out, like it doesn't bother me. But like if I'm laying in bed and I start thinking about this existential dread and voidness, and it starts to tear at me. But then I have this weird thing where like I like just like lay there and I have to stop thinking about it, right? So I like roll my eyes in the back of my skull, and it just, I don't know, it fixes it. Dude, I don't know what it is, but it's weird.
I don't know, but that's fair though. I can get where you're coming from with that. I do have thoughts like that at night, but like I said, usually I'm able to deal with them.
But you got anything like that, Sam?
Yeah, I get like, well, it's more just when I start thinking about the things that I, that just aren't in the forefront of my mind. So things that I've just kind of pushed back a little bit. That's mostly just spending time with people that I don't know if I'm gonna see for much longer.
Yeah.
So usually like older friends and family members. Or just people that, if I'm going to go away after like high school or something, then I'm never going to see again. That kind of thing. And I've actually made a few decisions to see more people that I wouldn't, I'm not going to see that much longer. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because of that, but that's definitely one thing I think about.
Well, here's the problem that I have. So like I get these thoughts at night. And I find the solutions, or I think of things I can do during the day to fix it, right? Say something's bothering me, or if I want to achieve something, I plan how I want to do it at night. And then the day comes and I either try it and it doesn't work, or I don't even try it. And then that's when it becomes a problem for me, is when it's actualized in real life, different than how I planned it at night. Because in my mind, I'm definitely more creative at night. And when it doesn't happen, when it doesn't meet my expectations, that's when I feel bad. That's when I feel let down. Even though I have no reason to.
So you plan something at night and then it doesn't work out, and then you feel let down by your like nighttime self.
Yes.
So it seems like Gary, you have like two personalities. You have like your nighttime.
Oh, he definitely has a nightlife.
One comes out at 11 p.m. When
I know exactly.
I just start.
You gotta
yelling.
have that pot of coffee and a bag of Milanos and Xavier Renegade Angel in the background, and I know it's a different Gary.
Exactly what happens at 11 p.m. It kicks in
that's
right
when Gary
on
starts throwing things.
Yeah, that's when I really start throwing things. I throw a small amount of things during the day. I throw a lot of things at night. So yeah, I like my nighttime personality.
On the point of making plans at night, it's really, and I noticed this lately, it's really weird how like I'll go to sleep, I'll be thinking about something, right? And then so sometimes I'll go to sleep, I'm thinking about something, I wake up in the middle of the night to go pee, and I pick up the thought immediately. And I immediately realize, man, how am I thinking about that? Like, that's so weird.
Yeah.
Right? But then other times, I will go and I'll fall asleep, and like before I fall asleep, I'll be thinking like, tomorrow I'm going to do this and that. I'm so pumped to do it. And then I wake up, and that motivation's gone, or that ideas is gone. Whereas this other random thing that doesn't matter at all, like I'll pick up that thought the second I wake up and realize how weird it is. I remember it.
Exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you guys like? I get at night. Usually, I've tried to start going to bed earlier because I noticed that. Yeah, sometimes I do have like creative moments like that and stuff, but they take like so long. It'll just be me sitting there thinking about it. Maybe doing something on my computer, listening to music or something. Like I'll be sitting there like twiddling my thumbs because I know I'm supposed to be doing this other thing. That's why I'm staying up late. And then I just think about that, and then I'm like, okay, wow. So I feel really inspired about something, and then I look at the clock and it's been like 40 minutes of me just thinking about one thing, even though I'm really inspired, but then I wake up the next day and I don't remember the
It's
inspiration.
gone. Yeah.
Because that's really, it's intangible, right?
Mhm.
The inspiration from that moment.
Yeah. I need to get back to writing my dream journal. That was fun.
I have a whole bunch written down on my phone.
I mean,
And they're just nuts to go back and read because I don't remember them at all.
I have months. I definitely have a couple months worth where I was really good about it, but I
Yeah.
just lost consistency.
When do you guys do that?
And I
When's the
think
best
I
time to
actually
dream?
was dreaming more during that time.
You don't dream more, but you remember them.
I felt like I was dreaming because I have like, I don't know. I felt like I was having like a solid dream every night, and it was for a good couple weeks, and it was
Okay.
weird. But maybe I'm having all these dreams. I'm just not remembering. But like, I'm usually pretty good at remembering that I didn't write it down.
Right.
Yeah. Well, what I've noticed is like if I'm not thinking about the dream when I wake up, I
Mhm.
don't remember it.
Yeah. That's the thing. I don't remember any dreams ever. Like, I can't recall any really,
Yeah.
except for the ones that are in my phone. When I made a conscious decision to write them down when I woke up, like as soon as I woke up, if I wrote them down, then I realized I would remember them when I woke up.
Mm-hmm.
But when I don't subconsciously have that in my mind to write them down when I wake up, it doesn't even cross my mind when I wake up.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't
so,
think about.
Yeah, like I
them
would get in
at
a
all.
scramble, like gotta write them down. But then I was just like, and I would just get good. I was pretty good about it. But then, the second I woke up, I knew it was journal time. Pull it out, start writing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to like put it right there where you can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You got to
I-
make sure that you're.
I had times where, like, my alarm would be set for like 5:30, whatever, and I'd wake up at like 2 a.m. and just right then and there, I'd write down whatever I had, and then
I've done that.
it would just be like
yeah.
I woke up on
Whoa.
accident, and just immediately my first thought was not what time it was. Why did I wake up? Probably had to go to the bathroom or something. My first thought was to write down my dream.
Yeah.
And then I'd fall back asleep and have a completely different dream and write that one down when I woke
Mm-hmm.
up when my alarm went off. And it's just when you're in the practice of doing it, it comes so naturally as part of your waking up routine.
Huh.
It's insane.
Yeah, I
So-
need to start doing that. Cause usually I just wake up and then I just try to get out of bed as soon as I can, right?
Mhm.
Um,
That's something
and I'm
I
usually
struggle with.
thinking about. Usually my thought when I wake up is, okay, how am I gonna force myself out of bed?
Mhm.
How am I gonna get out of bed, and what am I gonna do once I
Like,
get
I
out?
don't know about you guys, but I'm a straight to shower type of guy. I wake up and take 3 lunging steps into the shower and turn it on. And but what happens? I'll wake up from it, but while I'm in the shower, I will always fall asleep standing up. Still.
Yeah, me too.
So then I'll forget about it in that time of waking up to falling asleep in the shower.
Yeah, if it's a school day, shower right away.
Yeah,
If-
it's not a school day
If I'm off, I'll go until like 1 p.m. without showering, and I'm like, I smell really bad.
because I don't feel rushed to wake up.
Yeah.
Even if I have an alarm for 7:00, I still wake up on a weekend.
Yeah.
I still wake up early. Early depends on your definition on weekends, but
Well, 7's pretty good. That's reasonable.
Yeah.
It's moderate.
because I feel like I'm wasting time if I'm not. But
You-
I take more time to get out of bed. I'm
Yeah.
still, it's
Here are 2 things related to this, and then we can go forward. First of all, I think I don't care about what time I go to sleep usually, as long as I wake up at the same time every day.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think there's way more benefit from waking up at the same time every day. And to quote something I know very little about, was it your circadian rhythm? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really important. And I think there's much more benefit from that than getting 8 hours every night. But second of all, have you guys ever used the 5-second countdown to try and motivate yourself?
I did.
That
yeah.
works so well.
Yeah.
And I don't, it's weird, but I love it. Whenever I can't get out of bed or do anything, just count backwards from 5. Tell yourself what you're going to do first. I'm going to get out of bed.
3, 2, and then you're up.
And on 1, you just do it.
Yeah.
It's a cool psychological trick, but it's
Yeah.
something so simple. That's what works best to motivate me. If I
Yeah.
don't do that, I won't do anything.
Interesting. Like I noticed in school, like about the circadian rhythm thing, I was doing a bunch of research to find out like why am I always so tired?
Mhm.
Because it's like I'm getting 7 hours of sleep a night. Like that should be enough. Because I know some people who run off like 5 hours of sleep, 4 hours of sleep.
Right.
And so like like what's the thing? And so I the more research I did is what kind of like what I found, the circadian rhythm.
Mhm.
So what I did was I cut out my weekend like sleep in times. So I get up at 6 something school days every day, and then I was always so tired. And then during weekends I would just wake up I would set my alarm for like 7,
Mhm.
and stay in bed till 8. And
Sure.
then get up, as opposed to staying in bed till like 10, 11, or 12. And since then, on days that I'm super tired and go to bed super late, the latest I'll ever wake up is like 10
Yeah.
a.m. But usually I will naturally wake up before 8
Right.
at some point.
Especially with the sun this time of year.
That's
Like,
nice. Yeah.
It's so hard to fall asleep, and the sleep in like the amount of times I've woken up and it's like 6 o'clock. It's like, come on, go away, son. I want to sleep 20 more minutes.
Right. I like leaving my windows open at night, even though I know it's going to be
yes.
cold. And then that's so much easier to wake up to when
Oh,
it's
I love
cold.
it.
Yeah.
I love when there's a little rain. I
think the best way to wake up is sun.
Yeah.
Because
for sure.
if
Yeah.
you're like sleeping outside or something, and by the time you notice that the sun is up and you wake up, your subconscious has been waking up for the past like 10 minutes.
And you're
that
ready
the
to
sun's
go.
been out.
Yeah, the most alert I've ever woken up is they've always been times I've been sleeping outside under the stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because you just get those instant.
And you're ready to go. Ready to go.
We'll say what you will about human modernization and stuff, but evolutionarily, that's how you're supposed to wake up.
Yeah.
That's how you have woken up for millions of years. So it makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
I'm not going to get too far on the topic, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, because I've been trying to. The best way I can imitate that is, they say blue lights help you, or keep you up late.
Right.
So I usually, what I'll do is I'll like go on my phone, and I don't even do anything on it. I'll just stare at like the blank screen
To wake yourself up.
just to wake myself up, and I'll do that for a bit, or maybe I'll do some exercise.
That's-
or something.
I'll like scroll through YouTube and not even select a video.
Yeah.
No. What happens? I'll select the video and then I'll fall asleep.
Yes, me too. And you wake up, you're like, what was that?
I'm like, God. I was like, I actually wanted to watch that video.
Or you see it on your watch history later. You
Yeah.
don't even realize you selected it.
Oh, my
Yeah.
favorite is falling asleep with YouTube on and waking up in the morning and my recommended being all weird because of it.
Autoplay. No, I was going to say, the two things that have benefited me the most with sleep is, first of all, waking up consistently at the same time and not using my phone 30 minutes before bed. Just that 30-minute buffer, it just clears out your mind. You're in your own zone. There's no influences. Well, I mean, there are, but there's no, internet influences on your mind.
Right.
It just kind of clears everything out, and you're ready to go to sleep, and you wake up feeling a lot more refreshed. A lot cleaner, let's say. A lot clearer of head.
Yeah, I have I'm a pretty spatially oriented person, so I have this studio. When I got the studio, I had to so I got the studio, and this is kind of the only room that I have, right? This would theoretically be my bedroom, but I don't like the idea of sleeping in the same space that I work.
Right.
So upstairs I
I
have
do that a lot.
a closet now. So I just have a mattress laying on the ground in the closet. So I go in there. There's nothing in there that's going to distract me. So I could just go to sleep, and that's all I'm thinking about, which is really nice because if I need to go to sleep, I go in that room. I'm not on my phone or anything, and that's all I think about because that's the room is, to me, it's just sleep.
Yeah.
And I think that's really useful because I've heard a lot of things that say, oh, don't do anything else on your bed, right?
Other than sleep, yeah.
Other than sleep, because then it's going to make you stay up late.
I definitely, I get that a lot. I vibe with that a lot, man.
I resonate.
Or like my frequencies are attuning to them.
Chakras.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
There's some-
Kundalini respects that.
There's so much psychology behind sleep that I'd say probably 85% of the population will never recognize. That's weird to think how inefficient people are being, how ineffective people are being in their lives, and yet they just go about their lives.
I want to get back to this 1 second. But with I have the same thing where
that's
like
a deeper topic. We'll come back
with
to it.
I sleep in a bedroom, and my bedroom's for sleeping and storing clothes in, whereas I spend my time in the garage making things and interacting with people, and I like that a lot. Like it definitely feels like two separate headspaces. Where I don't even want to hang out in my bedroom.
I can't say the same for my bedroom. I have my computer in there. I have all my audio equipment in there, my music stuff in there.
Yeah, no,
everything is in everything I own is in my bedroom except for my car.
I like not having my computer in my bedroom a lot.
Yeah.
It's good. I think it's really good. But okay, we're saying with the sleep stuff is I could find the word. There's a word on Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows about weird things in modern day life that we accept, like zoos. How weird a zoo is.
Yeah.
Right?
But everything's weird though.
But like how many, because you can change your perspective and see how weird things are.
Right.
But But I think sleep's one of them. Sleep is it's not modern day, perhaps, but it's just kind of a weird concept to look at from the outside. But since it's something we're all so familiar with, we just accept it. But it's kind of a weird thing where you spend your whole day being conscious and following your surroundings as much as you can just to stop.
I have, yeah. Here's something. I won't name the person who said this, although I really disagree with it, but I won't name the person's name. They were trying to convince me that we should do away with time zones. Mm-hmm. Just get rid of them so the entire world can be on the same world clock.
Okay, yeah.
And I get that from like a business perspective or a logistical perspective, but from a human perspective, from an evolutionary perspective, you wake up when the sun comes up. Mm-hmm. You go to bed when the sun goes down. I mean, this is contrasting what we said earlier about, being more creative at night. I think that's a different discussion. But humans are kind of hardwired, hard-coded to just do that.
Yeah.
So you think there's got to be some benefit to having to designing your society around the cycle of the sun. That's why it's been done.
Well, the issue is like it should be around the cycle of the sun, but time for us, what it's representing is this. It's representing a certain dimension between sunrise and sunset that's always changing depending on the time of year and where you're on the earth.
Right.
But it's really just like, it's really a scale telling you how much longer you have till the end of the day, which really isn't the end of the day.
It's not, but it's closer.
Yeah.
Having a 24-hour
Whereas
clock
if everyone had a
around the
24-hour
world.
clock,
Then
it wouldn't matter if you knew your localization. Like if you grew up with like, oh, well, the sun rises at 17 and it, sets at 3 or whatever, right? If that was your localization.
Mm-hmm.
But
humans
since
are
we're
so mobile.
Yeah, we're so mobile that it changes. And we're also hardwired now to know that, somewhere between 6 and 8, the sun comes up.
Right. Yeah. Here's an idea. You have something to add?
Well, yeah, I was gonna say that I don't think it would be that bad because you can just your localization can be 17 to 3.
Yeah, it's really what matters is the sun and the time of the day, not what those numbers are representing.
Right, I understand that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the purpose of a 24-hour of a global clock would be for business and logistic reasons, like I said.
Everyone wakes up at 8.
Yeah, so that doesn't it's making the purpose of the 24-hour clock irrelevant if you still focus on the sun. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's
No, well, but it'd take out all the confusion of when you're supposed to get on Discord to meet your Russian clanmates.
or just banking, right?
Yeah.
All the banks in this country are in the Eastern time zone.
So if you're on the West Coast and you're like a financial planner, it sucks.
It does suck, yeah.
Huh.
Fortunately, they're 3 hours ahead of us, so it's earlier in the day for us. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean that's why the banks here close. Your online app, you can't do anything. Well, you can do stuff, but it won't actually register until
Process
the next day. It won't process until the next day because those banks are closed at 8, so they shut down at 5 here. So yeah. That makes things difficult, but that's the way it works. That's the way it is in this country. It's not like that in every country. It's just because the United States is so... most countries don't exist in more than one time zone. Like, if we're being honest, a lot of them, like, there's a few big ones that do.
And China takes up, like, it has one time zone, even though it stretches for...
It's huge. Yeah.
Multiple, yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, the United States is one of the few countries that has 3 distinct... Actually, we have 5 distinct time zones. Because we have Eastern, Central... No, we have more than that. Eastern, Central, Mountain Time, Pacific... Alaska's an hour ahead or hour behind, and then Hawaii's 2 to 3 hours because they don't observe daylight savings. So we have like 5 distinct time zones in here. It's really weird.
I'm a conscientious objector to daylight savings. I have to put that out there legally.
Yeah, daylight savings is irrelevant, but it's people make a big deal out of it when I don't think it's a big deal at all.
It's just like one of those things where like, at least it's a silly topic to be mad about.
It is. Because realistically, it has very little impact. So it's just weird that some states don't observe it and some do.
That's what's funny. That's what's funny about it.
So
what's funny is that people like there's this
It's
like a lot of people
in the same time zone now.
No.
A lot of people don't. They have to think about like, wait, what's good? What's the good side again? Do we want it? Do we not want it?
nobody knows. It's just
That's like California has passed some legislation to get rid of it, I think, or to try to get rid of it. This was a while ago. I don't know how far that's gone, but it was this whole thing where people like didn't know which side they were supposed to be observing. They're like, supposed to be mad at the one side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think it'd be cool though, like as a reference for like, you always learn new things where you go, but say you go around the world to a different area. I think it's cool to know like to be able to see like, oh, I'm normally waking up at 17, but today I'm waking up at like 6 something, and so it would be kind of cool, I think, to see the sunrise at a different time, and then you know how far away you are from
Yeah,
home.
you know what you're at
Right.
in your normal
To see
place.
that. Yeah.
I would like that better as a little like there's this idea of like when you go places, you get like souvenirs of knowledge, right? Not just souvenirs of things, but like souvenirs of culture and souvenirs of just a way of thinking that's different from what you're used to. And that would be a good one, is like knowing like, man, well, when I'm here, it's actually like this at my place, right? Where I'm from, instead of knowing, I have to add 8 hours or subtract 8 hours or.
Well, just talk to someone on the phone who's back home.
Yeah, that's
and you'll
like,
realize how different it is. Yeah, I've done
Yeah.
that before, and it's just like, yeah. Even if you're not that far away, you just have to be an hour away, and you realize how much time can change.
yeah.
So here's a concept that I wanted to bring up real quick. Well, it might not be real quick, but so yeah, in our modern world, human transportation and relocation has never been easier, right?
Right.
You can hop on a plane. It's the cheapest it's practically ever been. I mean, take that with air quotes, but
Yeah.
we'll just say it's pretty cheap, honestly, if we're being honest. And there's so much wealth mobility, especially in this country, that it should be insanely easy to relocate, to travel, and yet we're at a record low for human transport.
Well, because on the same time, like, because transportation is so much easier, you don't need to go as many places because things are being brought to you. So you can go to any city and have like the same shit, right? It's like, oh, you can have the same diet in most cities in America.
But we're talking like, I'm talking like for job opportunities or, life opportunities,
I think the big thing probably, because I've talked to
That's a fair
people
point, though.
about this, because I always think, well, like, where we live is cool, but there's so many cooler places to live. Why do we live? I ask people who live here, why do you live here? Why are you still here?
Close proximity to Seattle.
Well, it's usually not that. It's because I have family here, and I'm not gonna get my whole family to move. I'm not gonna get my my cousins and my uncles and my grandparents and all these different people that are related to you, or your connections you build when you're growing up. When you're growing up, you can't move somewhere else, right?
Right.
Just on a whim. So by the time you have all your connections, you don't want to just erase that to go somewhere else. I think that's the big reason that people don't do that more.
That's fair, but it's at an all-time low now. That's what I'm saying.
I think
it's like
I think a
it's-
part of
yeah.
it's
it
right now.
is like the idea of like a relationship that's okay enough where the worst type of relationship you can have is one where it's decent enough that you don't care if you leave or if you don't really care to stay.
Apathetic relationship.
Yeah, where it's like
With
there's
anyone.
there's nothing blatantly wrong that makes you want to go, right? But it's also not that fulfilling. I think that
Right.
might be a lot of people's like experiences where they live, where like it's a pretty okay city. We got some good stuff. We got some stuff I don't like, but it's okay. Like it's not pushing you away,
Right.
You're not in a city that's like where it's Seattle's starting to become more of this, but like where it's pushing people out.
Yeah.
Or it's like a kind of since as people trend towards middle means, they tend towards mediocrity and accepting where they're at.
Right. Well, I'd say for myself personally, I don't think I'm really apathetic towards Paulsbo and Western Washington in general. I love it here. I really do. But at the same time, I know there's opportunities here and experiences here that just elsewhere that simply don't exist here. And it's not so much that they're better or worse, but they're just different.
They're different. And I was talking about this on the podcast that I shot yesterday with Nate, which for viewers is going to be a week ago because we're going to post these a week different. But there's the idea of like perceptually when you get to age 20 or like halfway through your life, because
it feels
as you
that way.
get older, things feel faster, right? But then there's also the concept of like if you fit more in to your life, if you fit more new experiences in, it'll feel longer.
Mhm.
So you can have someone who's 30 that's lived more than someone who's 80, and it really does, like, to their own perception, feel like it's longer.
Right.
I think that's probably an exaggeration of the experience, but that's kind of the whole
Yeah, I mean, the
idea.
first week of a new job or new school or whatever feels like an eternity.
Yeah.
And then once you get a month, you realize, man, it's already been a month. That was weird.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's really weird. I mean, I've been working at, where I work for 3 years now, and when I started, I was 16. I mean, I'm 19 now, which doesn't sound very old, but my life has changed so much in that time. Right now, I can vote legally. My parents have no jurisdiction over me, although I still live with them. And yet, the one constant has been that one job, right?
Yeah.
And it's just weird how fast time has passed. How much has happened in that time frame that seems so short?
And then that job probably seems like it's the fastest part of your day, right?
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Yeah, it's just like you speed right through it, and then you get on with the new things in your life. But
Well-
yeah, so that is one thing. It's like, even so, there's so many things that, a lot of people would want to move to the Pacific Northwest because it's just like, it's an amazing place with so many amazing opportunities. But someone who's lived here, you might get more out of life just in the aspect of perceptually living longer based on new experiences if you just leave and go somewhere else,
Right.
just for the hell of it.
Mhm,
I mean, one thing that I really like about here is that two things I really just look for, like, environmentally in an area, or old growth forest and cool inland waterways and like little coves and bays.
Mhm.
And that's something I find that's great here, is that since there's like all these different little islands and different like coves and bays, every one I go to is different.
Right.
And they're all in close proximity, so I feel like I'm getting new experiences when I visit these places. And every new trail I take in the Olympics feels new. So even though I'm still in the same area, it feels like there's all these different experiences
Right.
for the things that I find important.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, everybody's going to be different on that topic. This kind of segues into what I wanted to talk about.
I'm also
earlier.
not from here. I mean,
You're right. You're not. But you've been here for 9 years now, right?
Yes, but-
so that's the plurality of your life. Is 9 years. So this is basically your home, at least for now. I don't want to put.
I
words in your
think
mouth,
it
but
is.
yeah.
But I also have a outside perspective from living somewhere very different.
Right. Because you're born in Virginia and then grew up mostly in Hawaii, right? Yeah. That's very different. But my dad did too. He moved here when he was 12, I think. So this has been his home for way longer than you, of course. But yeah.
Yeah, I've been around.
But I mean, it's not about that. It's talking about you two have been here your whole lives.
Oh, yeah,
and
I've
that's
never
the
been
difference.
anywhere else,
Yeah.
yeah, well, I traveled around. I spent one summer traveling around the United States, and like everywhere I went, this might just be because this was a few years ago. I couldn't wrap my head around how amazing everything was, something. But I remember I kept thinking everywhere, like, not even just because I wanted to go home, because the trip was fun. It was new, it was fun, but it was like there's no place to me, like, objectively, that I thought was better than the Pacific Northwest,
Right.
in the U.S. There were some places that were maybe a bit prettier, but just the climate and I guess because I like the people here, just probably because I know them well enough.
Right.
There's a lyric I like a lot, which is, "Now that I'm used to the climate, I think that I've never found a place to be peaceful and quiet. That place is on old Puget Sound. It hits hard for me, man. I love it."
Anyway, that thing that you were going to talk about.
Oh yeah. How much effort you want to put into something is temporary, right?
So like your job, right?
My job, yes, but I know jobs will come and go, so that one's less specific. I'm just talking about how much effort I want to put into myself even right now, because and I shouldn't say myself maybe, but just like my overall life and living conditions and things like that.
In your environment.
My environment, yeah. Knowing that in a year, just almost less than a year now, I'm going to be moving away to go to college for 2 years. How much I want to work and strive to improve my life here, knowing that it's like 365 days.
Yeah, well, then there's like the whole thing of like, how much effort should I put into this studio if I know I'm just going to leave in 2 years?
Right.
And it's just going to go, to the house, which is probably going to be sold.
Mm.
Right? Like, how much effort do I put into this? But I think that could boil down to like how much personal growth you can get out of what you put into your environment.
I mean, you're still creating value. Either
Yeah.
it's here in the room or in yourself.
Or even if it's for somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're still it's like, I wonder if there's a better word than senioritis. To me, this is the same thing as senioritis, where you know there's a deadline coming up and you think that the work you do doesn't matter anymore. And that might be more true with high school and senioritis, where like the return is fleeting, but you feel like, well, why do I even do this? Like, I'm going to, like, I don't know. A good example would be like, why am I like cutting the grass? Why am I taking care of the the lawn in my house if I'm just gonna be moving in a week or something like that?
Why do I brush my teeth if they're just gonna get dirty again?
Yeah, I don't know, but that's not a good example. But yeah, the idea that you're approaching the end of something, so you lose motivation to add on to the experience that will end then.
Right.
And but the thing is, like, I feel like if you build up, to me, the biggest thing when I think about that kind of stuff is like, if I don't put effort into the studio, or if I don't put effort into my space, my environment right now, even if I'm leaving in a year, even if I'm leaving in a few months, if I don't put effort into my environment right now, I'm not gonna keep the habit of putting effort into my environment.
Right.
I think it's just putting effort into the things around you, the relationships you have, the community. Maybe you're leaving, you're never going to see anyone that you know for a really long time, but you can still just build the habits. You can still learn about upkeeping your environment, your relationships, that sort of thing, which is in turn self-betterment, which you can take with you wherever.
Sure, there's a lot of personal growth that you can do.
I think there's an infinite amount of examples for this topic, and I think there's many correct answers or logical answers for all of them. Because, like, I mean, if you like live in a rental, right, and you can't do any work to the house, right, you're not bettering the places around you even if you want to. You can't be adding value to that because you're just not allowed to, right? And so it's okay if you're not caring about like improving that around you, but maybe you could be improving yourself, right? And focus on improving aspects of yourself that's going with you after you leave where you're at now.
Right.
Yeah, which is the whole thing. Yeah, because I guess that's the goal with everything, right? Just to get something out of it.
Right.
Because, I mean, after you leave to go off to college, you're still going to, like, what's going to be the difference between college? Because you're only going to be there for 2 years.
Right.
Right? So then are you just going to...
That's the same situation, though, is like...
You can keep on playing that game forever.
Yeah.
You do.
Can.
But there's some things where you have a deadline approaching, and there's some things where you don't know, right? Your life could change at any minute.
And that's another thing I've realized, too, is that a lot of these deadlines do move a lot. Like, I remember feeling it 2 years ago. I'm like, man, D&D is going to end, like the group I've been playing with. And then it's like, actually, no, it's not.
Right, you're still going.
Because everyone's still there.
You have a regular schedule.
And then it's like, never mind. It's happening again. Another year extension. And I'm like, I'm convinced Sam was leaving for college this year.
He was wanting to.
He's not. We got another year. We're like, every year around this, a couple months before this time, I start thinking, man, this is the end. It's coming to, it's ended now. And I got it. Like, why do we even play if we're just, all we have to do is try to set up a good ending, and then it just gets extended again.
Right. Well, but I guess you can draw parallels between those two types of deadlines, right? One where you don't know where it is, and one where you do. In my opinion, for the one, for the unexpected, the event you can't plan for, you should always be working to better yourself, knowing that it could change at any minute. And I think you should probably apply the same logic to one where you do know. But it's harder. There's a mental block there when you know that things are going to change and you won't be able to take everything with you, versus when you don't know. When you don't know and you're oblivious, then you have a different mindset, and I think you should probably try and apply the same mindset to both scenarios.
Yeah, because, I mean, I see that, I think it especially matters when you're younger, because, there's this whole concept of, okay, I'm young, the habits that I develop now, if I'm just waiting for school to be over, if I'm just waiting to get out of here, if I'm not cleaning my room because I just don't care about it, I'm leaving. Yeah, sure, maybe it's not an amazing thing in your life, but if you build up the habit of not caring about it, it's going to stick with you for the rest of your life.
Right.
And you can see that with a lot of people. I know people who have been in maybe they haven't had the best home life or something, and they don't put a lot of effort into, because they can't change anything. They just can't, you know?
Right.
There are a lot of situations you just can't get out of. Shitty, right? You have a bad home life. Okay. So they don't do anything about it, which, yeah, there's nothing that you could do about it. Okay.
For a while.
For most of the time, or, you know, in these situations, there really isn't that much you could do about it. The best thing you could do is maybe change your outlook.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so then these people they move on, they graduate, they get out of the house, and then they just get bored.
Mm-hmm.
Because all of a sudden they're not, you know, we're expecting this change. It happened, and now they have to work for change.
Right.
And they're not used to working for change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting, because I think you can do that in a lot of situations. I'm very fortunate in most aspects of my life, and because I am always very happy. I have a high. I don't know what that's called, but like just your level of dopamine and serotonin,
Mm-hmm.
like the one that you normally go back to. I always forget the term for that.
A high base level.
Yeah, baseline or
Baseline.
Yeah. Anyway,
A resting position.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I'm usually pretty happy and upbeat and that sort of thing. And I've always thought, like, okay, I think that's just because I'm born, you know, into a really fortunate position with a really good family and all that. And then I've been thinking that for a while, and then I look at my brother, though, who's in the same situation.
Has a different
for the
outlook.
most part, has a different outlook, and seems a lot less enthusiastic about things.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, yeah, maybe it is, because even like the excuses that because I've mentioned this to him before, and the stuff that he says is like, oh, you know, I have these, he has a few medical issues, which I'm not gonna undersell. They're not, you know, I wouldn't.
They're
I
not
hate dealing
irrelevant.
with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not irrelevant, but I think, you know, I've always assumed that, oh, the reason that I'm so happy is because I'm so fortunate in just my surroundings and what I was born into. But then I was thinking, if I had those medical problems, if I had the same issues, if I was in the same situation, would I be as upset as them? Would my outlook change towards life?
Right. It's impossible to tell, because even changing one very tiny aspect of your life, one tiny influence on your personality will change you dramatically.
And a lot of times you can't tell how.
You don't know how unless it happens, right? You ever think about what it would be like if you're a different skin color? Just something as simple as that nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Your life would be entirely different. Just that tiny little change. You could be exactly the same, born to the exact same situation, and just be a different race.
Yeah.
Your life, you as an individual would be entirely different, and the way you'd see things would be different. We don't know, but in my personal opinion, you would not be the same person.
Right, because there's that butterfly effect, right? But then there's also the fact that, like, I see, you know, if I'm born and I'm black, right, I still have all the same, still laid out for me, are still going to be the same opportunities, the same hurdles and all that. So maybe at the beginning of my life, maybe there's some kind of differences, but even though those influences maybe hit me different ways, I'm still going to be like reaching the same opportunities, the same markers in my life.
Right, but think about it this way. I don't mean to argue with you too much, because I think we're on the same page, but think about
we're like different sides of
the same page.
Yeah.
I think about every experience of your life being different. Every single one, because your skin color is different, and that's going to compound on itself until eventually, in my best guess would be, you would not be the same person. If from the moment you're born, every single experience of your life was slightly different because of one minor altercation, you would not be the same person. By the time you reach, I think at the beginning you would be. By the end, you would be a completely different person.
Right. Well, I would think about that like maybe in the form of some. You still have the same boundaries of what your life could be like in that situation. So you might have the same bones of your person,
person
right?
bones.
So it really is just your skin color, and like personality wise, it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You still have the same bones of your personality.
You still have the same foundation.
Yeah,
But
you have different.
you have a different realization of it, a different actualization of your personality.
Yeah. But if it was just my skin color that was different, would my base level of serotonin, dopamine, would that be different?
You can't say.
Right.
But there's a good chance it would be different, is what I'd say.
Yeah.
But you don't know.
Yeah,
No, but you will never know.
There's two words that I've been thinking about that are very topical to this. There's sunder and unism.
Are those off your?
They're in the dictionary of obscure sorrows. Sunder is how I found out about it. I knew about sunder before finding out about this, but that's how I found the website. So, unism is probably more topical for this, but they're pretty topical to it, which is the feeling of disappointment that you can only inhabit one place ever at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's described as like you're at an airport looking at the flight schedule and you think about all the possibilities that your life could be if you're on a different flight.
Right.
But you could only be experiencing one of them at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this also kind of goes back to the whole, like, you know, as you get older, things go faster.
Mm-hmm.
Because at this, I'm 16, right? I feel like there's so much left to do.
Mm-hmm.
But say I live to like 80, you know, as a healthy person.
That's the human average, pretty much.
Well,
I think it's a little bit lower.
Yeah, a little bit lower but about 80. So if say I live to 80, right? I don't think that I have 64. I think I need more than 64 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think 64 years is just.
I think it depends on who you are.
I
I think it just depends on who you are. Some people have they have too much time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
for what they want to do. But I think it's a good sign that you have too much stuff you want to do.
Well, yeah, here's something I've noticed because I interact with a lot of customers at work, and the majority of them are well older than I am, you know. And it's weird to see how I compare myself to them. I compare myself as having accomplished less than them because objectively I have.
Yeah.
But realistically, they've had 30, 40 years to accomplish what I have had in 20 years, you know, or even way more than that. So it's a weird comparison to see how much people have it's difficult to do objectively when you compare other people's achievements, not recognizing that they've had, you know, twice or 3 times the amount of time to accomplish what they've done. And
then there are the people that are maybe, you know, the same age as those people, and you can compare those people.
Right.
So, but that's the thing is, like, there's someone who's a master at something.
Mm-hmm.
And they've, you know, but they're 20 years old. You know, they've kind of studied their whole life. They're a master at martial arts, you know.
And perhaps nothing else.
But definitely nothing else. Is the thing is because you know, in order to be a master at something, you have to 10,000 hours, right?
That's
10,000 hours that you're not, it could be 10,000 hours that you're not playing video games, watching TV, you know, movies, reading, or something like that. It could also be 10,000 hours that you're not interacting with family and friends, 10,000 hours that you're not learning things in school, 10,000 hours that you're not doing, you know, like homework to get yourself into a better situation,
right?
Something like that. So yeah, I think everything that you do in life, like, definitely depends on just where you put your time, right?
I think a case against mastery. Now that I want to go back to another point on this.
Yeah,
a case against mastery is that's 11 work years. 10,000 hours is 11 work years. And if you're not doing that as a profession, so if you get 8 hours of sleep, you have 8 hours profession normally, 8 hours of not, and 8 hours of sleep, right? So that's 11 hours of your waking time that's not work. Or not 11 hours, 11 years worth. And that takes away from a lot of other responsibilities that you probably still need to take up.
I don't think you can have mastery without turning it into a profession, really.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Well, that's 11 years of that, you know. That's 11 years of, you know, that's dedicating a large chunk of your day to mastering something. You can also take the approach of learning something slower. If you're dedicated
to 20 years.
Almost it takes a lot of discipline to learn something at a slower pace. but balance it with other aspects of your life. Eventually, you'll achieve mastery at a later date.
Yeah.
But I think you'll achieve more. I think we're on the same page.
Yeah.
With this, but
Oh, so the other
your
word
point.
that I think is very topical is especially on the you just don't know all the things of what their life has been comprised of is sunder, which is the existential, like not even dread, but just like overwhelmment of feelings when you finally realize that everyone else around you is just as unique as you are and have as much have this infinite amount of events in your life that you can never possibly understand. And even if you learned all of them, you wouldn't be able to comprehend them all in the same way that they have, and that every person has that about them.
right.
And that's what's really like beautiful about well-written characters is you can get a little bit of that from them and learn about other people through that possibly, but it's just impossible to know everyone else's actual life experiences.
It's
And-
good to know enough to empathize with them, but you'll never know all of them.
Yeah, and it's just even if you know all the stories, you just don't know how it all goes together in their head, and you'll never be able to.
No.
But I think there's also something beautiful about
I was
that.
gonna say I have a pretty romantic view towards that. Yeah.
I think it's pretty beautiful. But that's just my outlook on it.
I have a pretty romantic view towards humanity in general, because you have to understand, like, we strive towards a golden standard. I think a lot of us do, of what we deem to be a good person or a successful person or a productive person.
Yeah.
And yet it's all standards that we've created on our own. Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that we on this earth that we have to live up to other than ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's weird. So
Yeah.
I have a pretty
Especially you have so many people that have different expectations of
Right.
you, and then you have so many different expectations of yourself.
'Cause, like,
and
if
it's just
societal-
really hard to navigate that sometimes.
Because then you have all these societal expectations, and really what they are just people saying, "Well, other people think
right.
this is the right way to do," so I'm agreeing with them.
Yeah.
And it's a,
Truthfully, I think unless you're affecting somebody else negatively, the only person whose expectations matter are your own.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the
It's
libertarian view about it,
non-aggression
right?
principle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're not, if in my opinion, you can do nothing productive at all if you're not bothering me.
But if you're bogging down,
Yeah, right. That's where it becomes a problem.
yeah,
Because then you're impeding other people's success at
Yeah.
happiness
or
and
chance of
fulfillment.
success.
And the way I like, kind of for my own self, the way I judge my own worth, the way I judge my own, like if I think I'm a successful person, is if I make my immediate community
Mhm.
happier than they would be, right? If I have a positive impact, more so than a negative impact, right?
Right.
So I'm not going to be someone who doesn't make someone's life better, right?
Mhm.
I want to make my immediate community's life better, and then also provide as much happiness for myself as I can, like
Right.
with that standard.
Yeah, you don't even have to do something consciously to improve the people's lives around you. You just, if you better yourself, you can inadvertently improve somebody else's life too.
Right.
But just being there.
But just being there and being able to not
Because I
be a
mean,
burden
I
on
think
them.
the number one thing people are the point of human existence, I think, is to make meaningful relationships with other people.
Right.
I don't think that's probably one of the only things I can objectively make a case for that makes.
Humans are the most social animal in the world, and we don't realize that. We look
Yeah,
at other
it's-
creatures. I think we can achieve a lot as if we look at human existence as objectively as we look at another species' existence. Right.
Mm-hmm.
We look at, say, orcas. We're learning, is a very intelligent creature. The way we look at their existence is way different than how we look at our own. And yet, in the scheme of this earth, not that different.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's just like, I think the thing I've been thinking about the most lately is that really what's meaningful in life is your interactions with other people and the relationships you form. And I realized that I'm scared of befriending people.
Yeah.
But it's not
It's
that I'm
hard.
scared of reaching out to people. I'm scared when people reach out to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's one of my biggest flaws, and I kind of just recently realized this, and I'm trying to fix it in my life, where I see someone reach out to me and I immediately just think, how's this person trying to one-up me? How are they trying to get the better to me? And I think it's just, I don't know, this thing really need to work on. And I think it's really important that I realize this. And from the perspective, I don't want to reach out to people. It kind of like, it's, for me, it's not as much of just like reaching out to a random person. Like, that's actually easy. I think reaching out to a random person is easy because there's no consequences for the most part.
And
what happens?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
What happens in the interaction, right? Like, if there's someone that I know I'll never meet again, or I think I'll never meet again, I don't care if I act
Why
weird in
not say
front of
something
them.
stupid?
I can say something stupid. It doesn't really matter.
Also, you have no preconception about. Well, you do, but you have no personal preconception about how they're going to react.
But like, I think this is a big, my big issues this past year is that at school I was really afraid to talk to people because it's a small class. There's only 10 people, and I was afraid that I was make a bad impression and I'm just gonna look weird for the rest of the year.
Right.
But I think being afraid and not trying to interact really is in the same way did the same thing for months and months. And I'm past that now. And I'm friends with everyone in the group. But it's this idea that I'm scared to get close to them because I'm just going to screw it up if I try to get close to them. But then it's paradoxical.
Right.
And
I'll
screw it up either way.
I have a similar kind of fear because in the past I have a lot of experience with like my close friends that are going through like emotional problems, like big emotional problems, and I don't have experience with similar things, and so I don't know how to support them. And so I kind of like the way I would try to support them is, okay, I'm looking. Okay, so here's your problem. You have, this is your problem, right? I'm gonna look at it objectively, and I'm gonna say, okay, here's how you solve this problem, right? But the thing is that I didn't realize was that most of the time those problems aren't a problem with their actual situation. It's a problem with just their emotional response to the situation, which is most problems, right?
I know exactly how you feel about this.
Yeah, and so
Not how you feel about it, but I know exact cases that are this problem right there.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so I had this problem where I realized I realized this for over the course of like 3 years that I was making the people's lives around me worse because of my advice, I'm trying to help this person, but I just don't know what's going on in their head, and I don't know how to deal with that. And so I guess I have that similar problem, and I think I think I've gotten better. I'm not great yet. I don't know if I'll ever be great at it, but the biggest thing I think is like, if you can't be there for someone like emotionally, you can just listen. Like, I think that if nothing else, you can just listen, and that's going to be so much more useful to building up your own relations with them, because they're going to like you so much more if you just listen as opposed to trying to solve their problems and try to help them.
Right.
And I think a lot of time the worst thing to hear is anything.
They don't want to hear advice.
Yeah,
they don't want to hear anything.
Usually when they're approaching you with their problems, they're not,
just trying to sell the idea they already have in their head.
Yeah, they're not actually looking for solutions. They just want to. Yeah, exactly.
And that goes back to the whole thing about animals or humans being the most social animals, right?
By far.
Because that's how we've come so far, like with our intellect, right? The most intelligent creatures are social creatures for a lot of reasons, but it's a lot easier. I think the biggest one is it's a lot easier to think when you have to think logically enough to convey your idea to someone else.
Yeah.
Like, if I have a thought in my head and then it's going to do its own thing, but it's never going to develop until I tell someone else, and I have to go, okay, this is the idea. I have to be able to convey this idea to someone else through language.
Yeah, there's so many times where I have a well thought out idea in my head that makes a lot of sense, and then when I try and explain it to somebody else, it falls apart, and I realize that what I had been proclaiming to be the truth to myself for a long time is just not real at all.
It's just something that you think is something, but it's actually, you think there's something there, but it's actually not there. It's not fully there. Right. Might be something there, and it's this idea that like you only can like actually understand a concept when you have to try to tell it to someone else. Because then they know, then there's questions about it, right? It's not just you asking questions to yourself, because that's a lot easier to try to answer those questions if you're answering it internally. Whereas you're trying to convey an idea to someone else, and them being there and adding criticism to your idea or just response or feedback to your idea is proof that it is a thing now. Before it was a concept, and now it's
it's instant validation.
It's confirmation that it's a thing in the world now.
Right.
Yeah, and then also just having to formulate your thoughts in order to communicate them is another big part of it.
It's like
if you see like one little eyebrow raise that some, if you're talking to someone, then you're like, okay, I need to reform. Like the point is to avoid that, and so you put a lot of effort into avoiding that, which helps your thought development a lot.
I think people have situations in their life, or tend to get situations in their life where they feel like they can't handle it themselves, and they have to have someone else help them think it out, where really they just need themselves to verbalize the issue. And once they verbalize it, they can figure out the things that they were missing as they try to explain it to another.
I completely feel that, because when I give people advice after they, pour their heart out to me, I give them advice, and then they're like, okay, got it, and then they don't do it, and I'm like, why didn't you do that? But that's exactly it. Is that they don't actually need me, they just need
someone to
wall, right?
They think that. Oh, I think it is this idea that you have to verbalize your ideas to really think them through more to a higher extent, and just having someone there and attempting to make it manageable for them to understand is sometimes just the extra amount you needed to figure out that idea that you had. Some people, it was just like the idea that they don't want, like, okay, you're saying earlier that you'll give advice to people, right? And it turns out worse.
Yeah.
And I think I definitely had this in a relationship once where my girlfriend would talk about how she's always stressed, right? And I have stress from this and stress from that.
And then you're like, okay,
well, then
stress from this, you can solve this by...
you can do this by just getting rid of that, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think she wasn't actually asking for how to get rid of stress. She was asking for someone to listen to me talk about my stress.
She wants somebody else to understand.
Especially since that goes back to the whole thing that we were talking about earlier, where, a lot of times people have a specific outlook, and it really a lot of the time doesn't matter what the situation is. Well, because that's like, I don't know anything about Buddhism, but the whole like one of the big concepts is you change your outlook, not your environment. Right? So I think that's kind of the whole thing. Like, you don't actually have problems, or you don't, the problems aren't problems that you need to really solve out in your environment. They're problems that you need to solve in your headspace.
Right.
Which is, it's exactly that.
At the same time, there are objective problems, though.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't ignore all problems.
No, I just like to, sometimes I like to sit down while the world collapses around me, while my grades fall, my parents are yelling at me because I'm not coming out of my room, and I just think, I just got to change my outlook, This is a good...
This is fun.
It's good, yeah.
It's like that comic of the dog and the room's on fire. He says, "This is fine."
Yeah, it's fun.
This is fine.
But
what a good spot for a meme.
Oh gosh, I'm so sad. I forgot what I was gonna say. Okay, so people not actually wanting advice, they just want to. Oh, I remember what it is. I think what it is, it's like,
see, okay, you just verbalized, and that helped you think through your.
It's like someone is telling you about the stress in their life. I think what it really is, for some people at least, it's not them asking for help. It's them saying, "Hey, this is my existence. Is this really what my existence is? Listen to me. This is what my life is, and it's driving me crazy, and I need someone else to confirm that this is what life. This is what I'm
valid?
doing. Yeah. This is what's happening in my life."
Yeah.
And am I can you confirm to me that this is as crazy as it seems? Because without someone listening and without someone confirming, I really can't make that judgment.
Right.
I can think I'm making that judgment, but am I just playing a mind trick on myself? You have to have the outside source come out and say.
Yeah.
And I'd say almost, if not all of those cases, are subconscious. You don't even realize what you want when you're talking to somebody, but your mind knows what it wants.
Which is why I think because of that whole concept of we don't really, people often don't, you don't, you don't really realize why you're talking to someone, why you need to talk to someone, why you need to do this thing. That's why I think it's really like, that's why I think it's hard for me, at least, to like, at this point, it's hard for me to get mad at people for just about anything that they do.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that reason. Like, there's usually some reason that they actually need to express themselves in that way or something. Which kind of, and so for me, I just kind of like to take a step back sometimes and just like look at it and try to change my outlook, right? Make the situation of this kid who's being completely obnoxious and annoying, and he's really making the rest of our days worse, right? I have to deal with him for the rest of this year, something like that. But I can take a step back and I can go, you know what? I could probably appreciate this moment because there is humor in this person making a fool of themselves, whatever. Not necessarily making fun of them, but you can just appreciate that there's something interesting about that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think, kind of on a similar note, is I'm having a harder time of being mad at people when they don't do something that's maybe if they're doing something that's selfish, I can still get mad at them.
Mm-hmm.
If it's selfish and they know it is, they're consciously doing something selfish. But I'm starting to like realize more and more like, well, they're doing something I disagree. Like, say, like that person's doing something I disagree with, but there's something in their life and their worldview that's, I shouldn't say flawed, because then it's doing the whole, that's very self-centered saying.
Right. And then that goes back to the whole, being mad at them thing.
Yeah.
Right? If you're saying it's flawed.
But just that there's something in their life that's bringing adversity to them or contention to them, and because of that, they're acting this way, right? Like, you can't be mad at a unbehaved child just because their like, to say maybe their parents abused them or something, right?
Right.
It's not their fault. You can't be mad at them. You can be disappointed in the future if they are giving the choice and the support to grow past that, and they choose not to.
Right.
But even then, there's like a little bit of like, okay, well, they were raised with this environment,
so of course
they
they're
might
not gonna
not be able to grow past that. So then there's this whole that evolves into this kind of meta view of like people and things, and like, okay, I'm not mad at people anymore because everyone has their own problems. But we have a problem with this person who's actually causing a serious problem and being detrimental to other people's lives. So what do we do with that person if we're not actually mad at them?
But I think there's a difference between being mad and
having to
like change something, or realizing there's a problem that person needs to face. And well, I think what it is you can go about it saying like, this person has a problem that they need to face, and we need to help them fix that. But not, we have to be mad at him.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's a point for contention there, because it's like, what is an acceptable amount of being self-unaware, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where people don't know what problems they're causing.
Yeah.
Where do you draw the line, of where they should know?
Well,
you don't know for their personal case, but
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like, if somebody's, just being rude without realizing it, I think I'm repeating a lot of what you guys said, but
yeah, I mean, that's fine though. That's how podcasts work.
But I think you can deal with that situation without being
that's how thoughts work.
mad at them.
I would agree with that.
Angry with them.
Right. That's a natural human reaction.
You can be frustrated. You can be like discomforted because of it, but not like, I am just going to yell at them because of what they're doing.
I think there's a difference between conscious. I try and use the word frustrated rather than angry, like you're saying, because I think anger is
directed towards something, right?
I'd say it's a conscious decision to be angry about something a lot of times, right? If you can...
Frustration is just not making progress.
Frustration is,
right?
in my opinion, frustration, I don't know the actual definition.
I think it can be kind of like a rational thing, like, okay, well, with frustration, it's like, well, there's this, but there's also this factor, and because of that, I wish this would happen.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas anger is just, I'm just not happy this is happening.
Right. There's a term in the Bible, righteous anger, right? There is reason to be angry when there's a legitimate unjust.
Mm-hmm.
And there's but it distinguishes that between righteous anger and just anger in general. But I would use the term anger as being a conscious decision to be angry about something that's unjust, and frustration as being more of a an unconscious reaction to something that is wrong in your mind, but you don't. It's not a conscious decision. You know what I mean? Like there's things that you can consciously say, this is wrong, and I'm upset. I would say that's anger and frustration. I don't know. I'm defining words that probably already have definitions, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, well,
So-
I mean, it does kind of have to do with the connotation of the word, right?
Right.
Because you can have dictionary definitions. You can have dictionary pronunciations.
Well,
It's going to change.
Here's
right?
a simple one: just conscious anger and unconscious anger. Right. I would just distinguish between those two.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because I think everybody has the right to be angry when they don't fully comprehend why they're being angry. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But if you recognize that you're being angry and don't make a conscious decision to fix it, then I think you're being unjust.
I think there's a lot of merit to
Whoa,
that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like, if you can step back and say, okay, why am I angry about this? Then you probably can figure out a reason not to be angry about it.
Right.
Or to step down from that anger. But if you're just wrathfully, I don't know, like expressing your emotions onto someone, then that's subconscious.
Right. But yeah, I'd say if you don't recognize why you're doing it,
If you can step back and come back again and still be angry, you should be questioning why.
then there's a problem.
Then you might just be frustrated, I think, with how the events are. Or you could just be frustrated.
Right. But then I think you have a responsibility to try and at least, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yes.
Never mind. I see what you're saying.
You guys want to take a quick intermission?
Let's do it. Yeah.
So you think you can tell heaven from hell, blue skies from rain, can't tell it from a cool steel rail. I don't even words.
Something like that. I think David Gilmour sang it a little bit better. But I appreciate it.
How I wish.
How I wish you were here.
We're just
Two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl.
year after year.
I want to do vocal training this summer, but I haven't had time with school and work.
I think
Kind of a shame.
I do too.
Yo, time is an abstract concept. I think you can
No,
always
it's not
fit
how
more
it
of it in
works.
there.
It's not how it works. Time
Dude,
is
just change
relative.
your
I'll just
time
think
zone,
about it.
man.
You just change your time zone. You have more time. Right, 5 p.m. on the East Coast is like 3 p.m. here. That's
Yeah, or
not how
just
that
like
works,
kind of
but-
drive east.
drive east while I do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That actually shortens my time. I got to drive west.
Oh, okay. Drive
So-
east. Just
When you have
Hawaii.
free time, right, at like night, like I don't know, say 8 o'clock at night, you just call up a guy that's like in China. It's like 2 in the afternoon for him, and he's like, "Ni hao," and you're like, "Hey, I'm here for my vocal lesson," and he says something back in Chinese, and then you train.
I like that. Where did you go on your break here on our intermission? Where did you go mentally?
I had to lay in the grass for a little bit. It was good.
Because that's somewhere else than what we're at right now.
Dude,
But I
don't
like it.
know.
I appreciate it a lot.
back home, Alex.
I don't want to
We
make
miss
it sound
you.
like I'm ungrateful because I really like what you're saying right now.
Dude, I don't even know. Like I have such a hard time figuring out what's the realities around me and what's my true self, and
None of it.
Oh man, I don't even know. But life is good. Sometimes it's great. Yeah, okay, like here, I'm here, right? And I feel like I don't want this to ever end. But I also feel like time isn't passing in a normal way at the same time. So in a way it's not.
Right.
I know it will at some point. It's weird, man. It's weird how interactions with people work.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like interactions with people feel a lot longer than when you're by yourself.
Yeah.
I feel like you live a lot longer than in that amount of time.
I spent a week working on a scout camp last summer that I worked at the year before for the whole summer, and I I only could work a week because of other scheduling stuff. It makes me real sad, but man, it felt like it was a long week.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean week, I mean I was there, 7 full days, like an actual week.
Sunday through Sunday.
Sunday through Sunday. Got there at 11, left at 11.
Mm-hmm.
And actually it was more like a week plus a brunch. It's a week plus a brunch.
BNG.
BNG that week was very disappointing.
BNG?
BNG is more like biscuits and gravy flavored water. It was, my words cannot describe my disappointment in last week's BNG.
My disappointment is immeasurable. My day is ruined.
Yeah, exactly.
Possibly the greatest meme that's ever existed is Review Bra.
But on BNG day, I was sitting with this troop from California, and I don't know, there's like this so we're at a scout camp, right? And there's kind of like a general vibe when a California troop's there. We get a lot of troops from around the country and around the world, and it's usually pretty chill. This group, they were trying to be Californians. It was really interesting. Like, so I sat with them from nearly all the meals the whole weekend. The whole time they'd be asking questions like, You down to burn after this, man? The word on the half pipes, you're out there laying pipe. You hear me, homie? And like they're talking like that the whole time, and it was hilarious. Like they're like talking or telling like random people would come up and they would start talking to them like that. And we understand what they're doing. They're just joking around, trying to act like they're from California. But it was hilarious watching them interact with people that didn't understand what was happening, like getting people caught off guard, like being asked, you want to go burn some grass down on the beach, but them not expecting it. And that was honestly more funny than them just screwing around, just talking like that. And
the best thing I got out of that whole thing was the word on the half pipe is that you're out there laying pipe. That's so stupid, but it's so good. That's so good. I love it.
There's another great one, which is like, hey, yo, Franny, I heard that you're out back there slapping the chicken between meals. And it's like, nah, man, he's out there pulling that pork. And it's just like poor kitchen staff.
This is not how anybody talks. Just so you know.
But it was amazing. But
is this Californian pigeon?
Is this California?
Dude, pigeon is interesting, man.
Pigeon's amazing.
But it was definitely, there was some English there. There was also some times where I didn't understand any of it. There was some surfers talk. There was some snowboarding jargon.
Anything where you're on a board, it's all the same.
Yeah. It was pretty great. Yeah, but well, I don't know. One of the things though about it was really funny listening to them, but it's kind of this dichotomy of like, I shouldn't be laughing at what they're saying now, but I really, really want to. But professionally, I should be trying to like not let this happen because there's like 12-year-olds sitting literally at the same table.
How else are they going to learn?
But then at the same time, it's like, yeah, like, well, like, okay, let's be honest here. How else are they going to learn? And this is the point. Really, I feel like the point of scouts is to socialize
They're
younger
12-year-olds. They're in middle school. They're
younger
learn.
teenagers with older teenagers and learn some skills on the way.
Yeah.
But it was I don't know. I had some deeper thoughts on that, but I don't even care right now. Mainly on just like on me trying to be professional versus me enjoying the moment of them screwing around.
Right.
Well, I don't know. As long as you defend it later, right? Like, oh, but they're just learning about culture and fucking hippies and stuff. Like, you can learn about that. That's learning.
They also, I don't know. They did a lot of stuff that wasn't funny though. Like, well, it is funny, but it's on that line of, okay, when do you stop them? Right? It's funny, but when do you stop them? So there's a CIT, right? So CITs are counselors in training. It's a counselor like internship for a week, pretty much. You go, you carry some stuff around, you get free meals. But if you're really good, then you'll probably, get a position next year on staff. And it's really good if you're like not old enough to staff, you're interested in it. So there's this one CIT, right? And he wears this like a leather Aussie hat, like Outback hat. But instead of wearing it with one side up like you would in the Outback, he wore it both sides down like a cowboy hat, and wear it down in that angle, like total anime style, and would like walk around the whole time like he had like a cloak around him and his hat like down at an angle. It would just look super serious, and they stole his hat. Also, his nickname is Young Wolf.
Young Wolf.
That's beautiful, man. That camp sounds amazing.
Dude, Young Wolf, man. Young Wolf tore a muscle in his arm by doing 50 clapping push-ups.
This is childhood. You have to realize that.
Dude, this is the most powerful 14-year-old I've ever met.
Young Wolf.
Young Wolf.
Suiting name.
He, I guess the story is he has a girlfriend, which his brother, who's on staff, said he does not have a girlfriend. He told this other kid that he calls his girlfriend Sweet Sparrow, and she calls him Young Wolf. So then, like, they started making fun, right? Like, all the other, like, CIT started making fun of him, calling him Young Wolf. And then he got really offended by it. And then, like, it started, like, progressing out. And then, like, the scouts were learning about it. And we're at, like, lineup. And there's, like, groups of, like, 100 scouts, like, chanting Young Wolf.
Young Wolf. If you want to seduce a woman, you feed her poetry and call her Sweet Sparrow. Apparently. That's so good.
Yeah, your lips are like wine, and you're also a sweet sparrow.
Yeah.
Perfect. Just as Shakespeare said.
Just as he said.
Yeah. Also, I can do 50 clapping push-ups for you.
Destroyed arm.
What are you guys' favorite ways to woo women?
50
Probably
clapping
that.
push-ups done based 100% on the adrenaline you're having at the time. That was his quote. How'd you do 50 clapping push-ups? The adrenaline was insane at the time.
The adrenaline was insane. I don't think he knows.
What is
how
that from? I can't tell you.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think he knows how adrenaline works, but
Yeah,
I like that.
What was that? Your favorite
Seduction
woo a
technique?
woman?
Yeah.
I got one. That's
Yeah.
kind of funny.
Let's hear it.
So, I've realized that bitches love harbor seals. Every single time I go sailing with a girl, and they're like not really sometimes like maybe not really talkative, and then a harbor seal pops up, and that homie gets her talking every time. Like,
Always comes through in clutch.
it always comes through. He always comes through in clutch, whether it be Sam or Jeffrey or any of the other ballers out there in the local area. But
Let me just follow this by saying everybody loves harbor seals.
yeah,
but
yeah.
especially in this case.
Yeah, but every time like harbor seal comes up, girl, oh my, look at this, look at the sea doggo, and I'm like, hey, I got 50,000 great stories involving sailing and sea doggos. Listen to me. Listen to me rant for the next 3 hours.
I like
She's
that.
like, oh, she just melts right in front of you.
Every time. Like there was these two girls in my sailing class last week, and they're pretty. At first, they ended up being pretty cool, but at first they were kind of like they didn't really talk much. They just kind of talked to themselves, and then a seal appeared, and for the rest of the week they're just talkative. And I'm like, it was the turning point.
It's a switch. Yeah,
it was the turning point. After that,
you need some catalyst with any person.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's not that they were girls. It's just that
But
girls
that's
respond
that's
really
a
well to
topic
harbor
we're on.
seals.
Yeah.
No, but it was super funny because for the rest of the week they were really, just in general, like not even just like during class, but just in general, much more responsive to people outside or me and the other people in the class, and I think it's hilarious.
Right.
I love it so much.
Yeah, it's that switch of perspective, right? To switch the outlook. It's like, oh, it's not just that we're here in this stupid boring class. It's like we're here in this stupid boring class, and there's fucking these beautiful, amazing creatures all around
That
us.
stare into your soul
They know you inside and out.
with eyes that you think wouldn't be able to do it, but they can do it
Right.
anyways.
With hidden gods.
That's what's interesting that's why humans' eyes have so much white visible. Right? Have you guys heard that? So you
Yeah.
can tell where they're looking.
Yeah.
That's why most other animals don't.
But seals don't.
Sails
but
don't.
you
Well, even
can-
dogs don't really.
they have a little bit.
A
though.
little bit, but not that much.
But like a seal,
None.
none. But you know they're staring at you, and that's what's really weird. Is that even with their eyes being totally blacked out, you can feel them piercing your soul.
Right.
Oh, and you love it though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys? So does that kind of tie back into like you humans being super social? Like,
Hey, I haven't heard you guys' answers to this question. That's what I care about.
what's the question?
How do you woo women?
Oh,
Are your favorite ways
favorite technique?
other than Sweet Sparrow?
Sweet Sparrow. Mine is to be so outlandish and weird that it just sparks something. You know what I mean? Say something really stupid, but that's memorable. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to make sense or be smart or attractive, but just the attention grabber.
So is your technique like haha random?
Usually.
So it's like aha random, right? And then she's so confused at how random it is.
Gotta swoop in and
that she
explain.
randomly just attaches herself to you because she
No,
doesn't understand how to feel because it was so random and has no idea what's happening in the world. But
I wouldn't say attaches,
Yeah,
but
you catch them off guard.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and it's an attention grabber. Like walking around German class wearing your life preserver from sailing.
Oh, my
remember
life-
that?
yeah.
Wearing that on the front and then my backpack on the front and the life vest on the back or whatever I was doing and just walking around circles in class. Like that's just an example
yeah,
of just how to get people's attention. You do something like that nobody else is willing to do in the moment, and then and it doesn't even. It's not even just
kind of flip
limited.
them up on their heads.
Yeah, it's not even just limited to women. It's people in general.
Yes, if
Yeah.
you want to hit on a dude, that's how you do it.
Right. Yeah. In fact, guys will probably respond even better.
you also compliment them on their clapping push-up game.
Yeah, that's how you do it. Because people regularly do clapping push-ups at Olympic
for
college.
guys or for girls?
For guys,
Yeah.
you're like, man, I tell you've been doing a lot of clapping push-ups lately.
Oh yeah.
Thanks, man.
I can tell.
Because
Your delts look
I
black.
can tell because your arm is torn and it's in a sling.
All right, it's
you
your
guys don't
turn.
use that on girls.
I haven't yet.
Oh yeah, so no, every time I'm hitting on a girl, you know what I do?
No.
Pull up Spotify and go, hey, check out my podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And they just listen to all of our amazing, beautiful, wonderful, well thought out, detailed conversations. And they're like, wow, this is the most
This
intelligent.
man's an
being on
intellectual.
it." Yeah.
How many times per week do you do this?
This is like a solid 7.
7 times
Once
a week.
Every day.
Nice. I
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. I respect that.
Yeah, usually I try to go like what I do because I think that throughout the week I like to go to different time, right? So some people like, you know, if you stay up for as long as you want and then go to sleep for as long as you want, then you know how your cycle kind of shift.
Mm-hmm.
You get this longer whatever it's called circadian rhythm. Well, I'm trying to do kind of the same thing because I figure in the morning girls might respond differently than they would, you know, in the late morning or
The late
or
morning.
noon or,
At first, I was in a morning mood. Now I'm in a late morning mood, and the moment's gone. Okay.
yeah, and so I'm just kind of experimenting. Nothing's worked out yet, but you know, I'm experimenting with just showing girls my podcast. Like, hey, check it out.
Gotcha.
Is there
You
a
know.
certain episode that you
This
like
one.
to show?
He's
Oh,
just
yeah.
streaming it.
The one with Anna Schrader where we just sat around and Alex had some like deep internal mechanisms that were shifting and he was enjoying the moment, but everyone else just thought it was intensely awkward and we didn't actually have anything to talk about. That was the one I showed them.
That's
Because I think it's not, because I think I like to be honest, you know, and I like to just introduce that, you know what, I'm an honest person right off the bat. So I just show them the quintessential PPL podcast.
it's just me sitting in the corner figuring out a little bit of life.
yeah,
Well-
that was that podcast. It was good for you.
It was good for
Alex.
me. I realized a lot of things.
Growth. Self-growth.
Yeah, no, it was good for the podcast as a whole though, because we learned so much from that episode. We completely changed our approach to podcasting after that.
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
Hmm?
Doesn't work. Your technique. So it doesn't work.
No,
right?
well, not yet, but I haven't experimented with every single time of the day yet. I'm waiting. I think 1 o'clock in the morning might be like the perfect.
Dude, yeah, we're going to get there apparently tonight. That's what it seems like is happening.
Seals work, man.
Seals
Seals
work.
actually work.
I believe you. That's the thing. I don't have access to seals that easily.
Here's
though.
my on the data that we've covered. It's the question. We sent a poll out asking if bitches love harbor seals, yes or no, and it was 48-3. So that's pretty good
that's
numbers.
Pretty clear data, yeah.
Pretty good numbers.
There's no way that poll is skewed at all.
Not at all.
No, there's no way. There's no conceivable way.
Not at all.
Yeah, I agree.
And the 3 that weren't were just they were just my alternate accounts.
They're Russian bots.
trying to make the poll look legit, right? You know?
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah.
Just because everyone agrees that
You can't make it
bitches
look.
love
You
harbor
can't be
seals.
overwhelming agreeing because it's like, okay, that's fake.
Yeah,
That's
of
fake.
course. Yeah.
Or if was it Instagram?
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you click on it and it's 100%, then it's like, oh, I'm the only one who voted,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you got to have that like, oh, 1%. It's like, oh shit, there's someone else voted for no, but there was so many people that voted yes.
Right.
Yeah, because you have to have 100
Like almost seeing
people
that
to
99.7% looks more legit than seeing that 100%.
Yeah, it does.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a more legit poll. Yeah.
I get scared by online reviews that have 100%.
Yeah,
five
no,
stars.
it's like,
it needs to be
hey,
like 4.5.
Yeah, 4.8. That's like okay.
Some people had problems with the product.
Yeah.
Yeah. And usually they got resolved. But yeah. But there's all the times where I'm on Amazon and I see a product that has like 3 stars. And that's because there's like only like 10 reviews. And 3 of them are people giving it 1-star reviews because the shipping was bad.
Yeah. Or
The product is fine, but they're just saying that in the wrong spot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've noticed one thing. I ordered this shirt. I don't know. It was off Amazon. It was off some I think it was like a Chinese thing, and it's like I was like, okay, is this legit? So I ordered like a few shirts, and it was supposed to be that particular shirt that I ordered off of that like one seller. Because like there were a few shirts from that seller that had like amazing reviews, and then like the rest of the items had like no reviews, and they were really cool items. So like this might not, it might not be legit. I ordered it anyway because I was like, you know what, it's a cool shirt. Amazon, it's really hard to find weird clothing. I think, and if you're gonna find weird clothing, go to eBay or something.
Etsy.
But Amazon, I have such a hard time finding weird clothing. But yeah, no, I just kind of forgot about it because it was supposed to show up like that weekend, and I didn't. And then like another week, another month, another 2 months, and then it shows up like half a year after.
Yeah, it was on the boat from China.
Yeah, but it was supposed to show up that weekend. So I finally got it, and it was just like this really cheap, like I don't even know what kind of fiber it was. It was just like really cheap, awful shirt, and it took half a year to get there. And by the time it showed up, I just didn't even want the shirt anyway.
Do you guys have any lost mail that you really just hope it will appear one day?
No, to my knowledge, there's nothing I've lost.
If Nate and I yesterday talked about that time Nate burned a letter that his dad got from Melania Trump. I guess it showed up and he was just like, it's from the Melania Trump, so he burns it. And then as it's burning, he reads, like he just thought it was some like scam or something.
Right, or at least like a yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but it turns out it was like his dad's letter and then a letter of like a reply from that letter from like the Trump Foundation or something like that. And so his dad never got to read it. And
I was going to ask, how does one get a letter from Melania?
Yeah, I think, well, the way Nate describes it is they were just, so his dad like sent them a letter of his support of like certain policies. Yeah. And then he just got a letter back asking for money.
Can we get Melania to publicly recognize and acknowledge the existence of this podcast?
Can we get her to publicly announce the conspiracy, which is Finland?
Yes, exactly.
Has any politician ever talked about Finland?
No, I don't think so.
Like, because I feel like it's just like an online thing.
Finland?
Yeah.
Well, it's not real.
It's like a redneck, like not a redneck, but like a neckbeard kind of thing.
You think so?
Developed. Yeah, I think the neckbeards invented it, and then they've just kind of slowly emerged. Like it's slowly spread out of the basements, and now it's on the streets, but it hasn't quite reached
the concept of yet. Finland. Or
the concept of Finland.
Okay. Okay.
You're missing something, Sam.
You're missing something.
You're missing something that Gary and I both know.
Yeah, Finland is not real.
Finland? What if I told you that Finland doesn't exist?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The neckbeards invented it.
No, the government's invented it. Russia
and Japan.
Yeah, invented
post-World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's their motivation?
Illegal fishing.
Yeah. The Japanese can fish in the Sea of Finland because there's no landmass where Finland is. It's just ocean. So the Japanese can fish there. God. And because nobody knows it exists, there's no fishing regulations. And the incentive for the Russians to keep this secret is that the Japanese will never attack them again like they did in the Russo-Japanese War. Right?
Oh, shit.
So that's Russia's incentive for keeping it secret. Okay, the number one export from Finland is Nokia phones, and the number one importer of Nokia phones is Japan. What's on those rail cars? Fish. Not phones, fish.
You know how Japan used to be the largest exporter of fish in the world, or one of the largest, and then they lost all of their fishing around Japan itself? They had to find somewhere else to get the fish.
Finland.
They're still a fish-based culture.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the pictures of Tokyo Bay in like 1950s and stuff?
It's nuts.
It's insane. It's literally miles of fishing boats.
Mm-hmm.
These cute little wooden fishing boats that all got burned and is now where they used to be Tokyo Disney.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy, man. It's such a shame.
Also, it's also just Japan going nuts, though.
Japan is always going nuts.
Do you think we should move Japan to Finland?
No.
Like
People would know.
to
People would
their
know.
sea?
No, you can't do that.
What if we flopped them? Because I feel like Finland is in a much more like accessible place than Japan. Like Japan's just kind of like out there, you know.
Yeah,
it's,
Japan
like,
doesn't
off.
want to be accessible.
No, they don't.
But I think it'd be easier, like financially, if they have all their fish right there.
But then people.
Where are they
would
going to
know.
live? There's
Where are
no
they gonna
land
live?
to
There's
live
no land.
there.
There's just
No,
water.
that's what I'm saying. You move Japan over to where Finland is, the Finland Sea.
Trust me, there's a lot of empty land in Sweden. Like nobody wants that.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody uses Sweden. Sweden's just
All
empty.
those forests that they say are actually, they're actually Finland.
Yeah, no, there's nothing.
Yeah, there are all these places that are like, oh, this is Finland. No, it's just Sweden, man.
Well, that's the big thing is what people who live in Finland,
I actually live in Sweden.
they live in Sweden, Russia, or Estonia. One of those three. It'd be really easy to fool them. They don't know. They don't have geography over there.
They don't have geography over
No.
in
The European Union.
Finland.
Yeah.
So there kind of is. So culturally, there is actually a Finland. It exists. It's just not legally Finland, right?
There's no landmass that is Finland.
Yeah. So but there's the culture of Finland that stretches out.
There's a
across
yeah.
these nations.
That's fair. Yeah, but there is no landmass.
Okay. But so if the Finnish people, the Finnish air
Mhm.
quotes people, look at a map and they see Finland, they believe that they're in Finland,
Right.
right?
Yeah, but there's no
That's-
there's no landmass there.
Whoever came up with that needs to come on this podcast because they're the most intelligent people in the world.
I think it was Joseph Stalin that came up with that idea.
Get him on the pod. Do you have his phone number?
Yeah, I got him on speed dial
Okay.
actually. I have him on Snap.
Boop, 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 boop.
Boop 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 whip boom whip boop boop whip boo. That's peak comedy for me right now. Is singing the Skype theme song to my coworkers without their consent.
Boop, beep, boop,
Whip
beep,
boo
boop.
beep boop beep whip boo.
Did
Dude,
it
why do
change?
we
I
like?
don't know. I don't use Skype.
Why do we like sound effects so much?
It's a male thing. You
It
ever
is a
notice
male-
that?
it is a
Carly's
male
pointed
thing.
it out to us.
Yeah.
Barley. But I've noticed it too in my own life.
Why?
I don't know. It's sound effects. It's not just like music. It's sound effects.
I feel like girls almost like music more than guys.
It's sound effects.
It's the effects.
Right.
It's the. Dang, we should. I feel like Alex has been mentioning his love for sound effects, and I feel like we might just need to do a podcast just so Alex can express himself.
A whole new. It's gonna have to be a whole new podcast. Like a whole
like
separate
a
one.
series, yeah.
Yeah.
Should we do like half-hour episodes of Alex's favorite
Can we
sound
just
effects?
do a history of different sound effects?
Yeah.
we could do a presentation. We could have an entire episode of this podcast that's dedicated to the history of sound effects, mouth sounds.
All right. So moving on.
Yeah.
You guys want to focus on a topic?
I don't know.
What topic?
You got
A
the list.
topic.
Oh, okay. Well, we had cell phones.
You want to go for the low hanging fruit? Cell phones. Just get something going.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
good
go
with
for
that.
Sure.
So, you guys, I know both of you don't really care for cell phones that much, right? Or at least
Well, present your case first.
present my case. Well, I think Alex is probably going to agree with me that they're a problem in my life. Cell phones are. How much I use them is a problem, and how much they distract me from productivity is a problem.
Can I give my before you go on your present your case? I want to say my understanding of kind of cell phones, how they fit into human
Go ahead.
human behavior.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually something Elon Musk said on his Joe Rogan podcast.
Elon's mosquito.
Elongated muskrat. I like because he says he has this whole concept of your phone is just an extension.
It's a cyberkinetic link.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so it's like whatever.
We're
information-
cyborgs.
We are cyborgs.
We are.
We are
Well,
cyborgs.
that's his thing, is that we are cyborgs because we just have this extension. Any knowledge that we don't know is in our pocket. You know, it's like right there.
It's not a cyborg.
It's not even in our pockets though. It's just we have to think about it a little bit.
Right. It's not a
all it is.
cyborg from the conventional wisdom, but it is
It's a
from I think
cyborg,
from a
but-
technical standpoint, it is.
But our latency is just high still.
Right.
Yeah,
Because
which
you
is
have to interface through your fingers still.
where AI is going to come into it, right?
Mm.
Like a chip in your head that just automatically connects you to the
Bzzz.
internet, and then slowly we're just going to become more and more, AI, more and more robotic.
Mm.
So less brain, more robot brain, or just increasing the productivity of our brain to the point where like we just slowly become robots, and we're cool with it. It's not that AI takes over; it's that we are the AI.
Right.
Anyway, that was rambly, but yeah. Phones are just kind of like the extension that can cause a lot of problems as far as like just because they can also, if you need to hit a dopamine, it's the exact same thing, right? It's
Right.
not just information. It's any kind of stimulus that you need at any given point.
Yeah, no, I think they're very beneficial. I think cell phones as a technology is a net benefit for humanity. And I'm willing to admit that. But I think I just did. We're still so early in the digital age. Like this is just the very beginning of the digital age that people don't quite understand these things still yet, right? And cell phones, I think, are right now, they're a huge source of information and productivity, or at least they can be. But I think it's also way too easy for people because they're so new to humans. I think humans as an organism have not fully adapted
What
to
would
the digital
adapting
age yet.
be?
What?
What would adapting to it be?
I think these new generations are understanding it more. Right.
Like just the moderation aspect of it, the efficiency aspect of it.
Yeah, but having always known it, right?
Oh yeah,
You know, a kid who's born today will always know a cell phone.
yeah.
Even us, we're not that old, but we remember a time before cell phones were as prevalent, or especially smartphones, right?
Mhm.
They didn't exist when we were born. And in our childhood, they didn't. I mean, the iPhone came out, what, 2008?
Dude, I remember the first time I saw an iPhone.
It was insane.
It was with this Vincent's dad.
Right.
We're at a camp out. He's like, we had a question. He's like, I'll figure it out.
I'll
Give me a
figure it
second.
out.
I'm like,
Alex NG.
Yeah.
But you see what I mean, though, right?
yeah.
To us, it's something novel still almost, right? Like, just if you think about it from an overall perspective, it's still so new.
Yeah.
And I think people still don't quite understand how to use it effectively yet. You know what I mean?
Like what's the actual? Because the thing is, like, the purpose of it was originally to communicate, right? That's all
Right.
it was. Is, okay, talk, and then slowly we introduced that concept of, okay, you can look stuff up on it. But what's the actual purpose of buying a cell phone at this point? Like, what is the main use of it?
I don't know. And that's what I'm
Right.
saying. is
Yeah,
we,
yeah,
we
yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
Right.
Exactly.
We haven't figured it out yet. I think we will. Right. And I think primarily it is still communication. You think about everything you're doing, right? Whether you're watching a video or looking at a post on Instagram, or if you're texting somebody or whoever calls somebody anymore, but I still like to call people, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're always communicating with somebody else.
Actually, I think calling is way more efficient than texting.
It is.
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure.
I'm back on that calling game.
Yeah.
If it's like anything more, like, yeah.
If it's anything more than than basic scheduling, oh, hey, are you gonna make it?
Mhm.
This is the time.
Right.
Exactly.
Then I'm gonna call them.
Yeah, for sure. So I think all those aspects are typically still good because you've enhanced the interpersonal communication between people, right?
Yeah.
It's more efficient. You can convey ideas. I don't know if it's more effectively or less, if it's more effective or less effective, right? Because like how we're talking right now, we have to think up things in the instant, right? And it may not always work out.
Right.
But you have a chance to formulate what you want to say online before you say it. So there's a
Which
difference there.
drives people crazy.
Yeah, I think there's a problem there, and I don't think it's one we'll ever fix.
That's
to
the
be
art
honest.
of texting is having that extra time
Right.
to make to say something better than you would.
And it's probably
Normally.
always going to be ingenuine if you do that.
Mm-hmm. And that's what's. And
Well,
it's-
is it ingenuine though, or is this just the new form of genuine?
or is it just a buffer that people need to think correctly?
I think the buffer is saying something wrong and having somebody else correct you. I think that's the buffer. I think you learn
Yeah.
from that.
I think that's important, but I just don't think a lot of people accept that as normal.
Well, because
Right.
I mean the
Or as
thing is
okay.
like that's not really easy to accept because it's also like okay, I'm having an objectively better conversation because I can think about what I'm saying for longer before I say it.
Right, but if it's ingenuine, right? If it's not reflective of what you actually feel, if you can manage to,
Yeah, and so I think it's hard to convey that most of the time.
right? If you're trying to play the other person in the conversation, right? So you're trying to get something out of the conversation, or trying to have the person react in the desired way.
Yeah.
You're always going to be ingenuine to how you would respond or how you would act normally.
Well, I think that's I love the word spectrum. I think that's kind of a spectrum
It
of how
is.
ingenuine you are.
Yeah.
Because of course, like even in this in this conversation that we're having,
Right.
like being genuine, what does that mean? Because I'm trying to get knowledge out of you guys. Is that being ingenuine, so to speak?
I just think it's another level. It's another.
It's a different kind of ingenuine.
It's a different kind when you have so much power to change the situation.
Yeah, maybe it's ingenuine if you want something different from what the person wants to give you.
Right. Well, yeah. In this conversation, we have to play off of each other, right? It's slightly different over text. I really respect it when you ask somebody a question or you're in a conversation and they have to stop and think about what they want to say because they don't know.
Right.
And I think it's if you can apply that same logic to a text, sure. But I think it's different.
Or maybe not, they don't know, but they care about their answer.
They care about their answer. Yeah. I respect that when somebody does that. But over a text, you can take minutes or hours or days to respond.
I feel like I'm always swindling someone if I'm texting them.
Right.
I
That's
feel
what
like I'm
saying.
playing a game. I know that's what you're saying.
It
Like,
is- yeah, it is.
I'm
It is
always
a game.
like, if I'm texting, it's not like an interaction like this.
Right.
And it's playing a game. It's like, you know what? I'm going to fall asleep right now and not talk to that person till tomorrow.
Yeah. And you're trying to get something out of that.
Yeah, and that's just retention is what that is.
Yeah. Well, even
You can
Well, it's like
Yeah.
the feeling, the knowing that you have that person retained and they came back to talk again.
right. Here's what I'm going to say. Let's just forget about being ingenuine, because for right now, I can't say if that's objectively good or bad.
right.
So I'll just forget about that for now. But that's still my opinion. But yeah, I don't think you can objectively say that's a bad thing at this point with what we've discussed.
Right.
So
Okay.
yeah, that's just what I wanted to say to follow up
Okay.
what I said earlier.
I think you can tell a lot of the time, like there's certain people that show signs of being avid texters, and you can tell in conversations
Yeah.
with them, like for like kind of two main reasons. They usually, well, actually, kind of three, kind of two. Like they're flustered easily.
Mm.
So you say something, and then they're a little bit caught off guard, and then usually they get a kind of aggressive back towards you.
Interesting.
Or they try to manipulate.
Right.
So it adds the ingenuine aspect to their typical conversations.
Mhm.
Maybe it's not that they're avid texters. Maybe it's that texting is a good medium for them to try to
Right.
That's true.
to use those expresses that way that they want to run a conversation.
right. I think
Because you have protection from getting flustered, right? You have a time buffer,
Yeah.
Mm.
and you have the intention. What's the second part there?
You can manipulate, right? So you can
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
they have-
different
they have-
techniques and
they can think about it a
Yeah.
lot longer.
Well, yeah. So perhaps it's not objectively bad, but from a subjective standpoint, I dislike it a lot.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a popular opinion that text. I think it's a popular opinion among people closer to our age.
Mm-hmm.
I think older people, they don't use texting as much. So to them, it's kind of more like, oh, this is a really cool medium that we can use to communicate. But to us, I think a lot of people our age are kind of realizing that, like, oh shit, maybe we should tone down the texting a bit.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it's just like conversations like these that everyone has, where they're like, okay, maybe texting isn't so good. But then again, there are a lot of people who don't have these kind of conversations, don't have the friends that will talk to them about this sort of thing.
Well, that's also what I mean about adapting to it as a species, right? You see like, generate like the millennial generation, I'd say is the one that uses phones the most, right?
Mhm.
We'll say people in their 20s.
Yeah.
Just to pick a decade. people in their 20s, I think, use their phones the most for everyday interactions, right? Whether it's transactions or communication or whatever it is. And then you look at our generation, I think from my own perspective, it seems like we use it less.
Yeah.
In my opinion. It seems like our generation, because it's been with us longer, has decided to use it less.
Yeah, because we recognize that there's moderation needed.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I think that's true because we've like realized that it's not an end all kind of thing. That there's still there's a lot of problems associated with it because the millennials were like the test generation.
They're the guinea pigs for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're a lot of the time you still see them pretty addicted to their phones and.
It's not even an addiction. It's just it's so integral to their life, right?
Yeah.
I would rather go to a store and buy something than order it on my phone. Like, just being honest, like something that I can get readily. Like if I'm ordering something off of Amazon, of course I have to order that off of Amazon.
Usually, yeah.
But you can order pizza on your phone and have somebody else pick it up and bring it to your house.
Right.
And you could just press a button and do it. I'd much rather drive to the store.
I think plus food. I mean, food especially though, because you can get someone to pick something up at the grocery store for you, even if it's the same exact food. But there is something about, like, there's something community with food.
Going on the journey. It's about the journey.
It's about the journey.
The journey to acquire food.
There's something about going to a store and picking out what you want to eat.
There's something about buying ramen at midnight and seeing all like there's like that one or two other people that are also there buying ramen, and there's this connection that you just don't get.
I had a 1 a.m. Walmart run last week.
Heck yeah, dude.
It was great. Like, we had my crew was there. We're running around yelling random stupid stuff. There's other crews of people there running around yelling stupid stuff.
It's great. Yeah.
There's a lot of looking back at aisles like, ooh, what's going on down there? A lot of that going on. It was fun.
The inhibitions are so much lower.
Yeah, and it's like just 3 groups of teenagers at 1 a.m. running around like, get this cereal. Look at this cereal. We need this cereal. Get some milk. Who's got the milk? We need the milk. We need the milk now. It was great. It was a dissolvement of responsibility that just felt amazing.
Yeah, it does.
Bliss.
From going from everyone there I was with, like, all day working, like, you gotta teach Stanley, we gotta watch the pier jump, the kids are gonna drown, to just like
to just running around Walmart at 1 a.m.
Yeah, we get to run around Walmart at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Dude, you see this bag of Crave? Look at it, it's like 5 pounds. Buy it, it's only $6.
It's only $6.
That bag was gone.
That's more than the pound per dollar, you know that, right? That's not a good return on investment for cereal.
We bought one of those, like the big bag, like Marshall and Mady size bag of Crave. We killed that in one night. We ate it in one night.
Crave is good, man.
Crave's good. We got a giant mixing bowl and just filled it up with Crave and milk and passed it in a circle.
Can you shut that window, Eli?
And whenever it ran out,
Thanks.
we just filled it up again until we finished eating all of it.
I like
The
that.
group of like 15 of us or something. It's beautiful.
Eli's like our Jamie, except he just shuts the window.
Eli, open that window.
Eli,
shut that window.
Well, because we don't. The thing is, since we're not live streaming anymore, it's like we have a different. We're recording on 2 different things because my mixer's like acting up.
I noticed you're on a field recorder there.
Yeah, because the mixer that I have, I cannot figure out how to get it to work. I do have a couple people I'm going to ask about it though.
Okay.
And I have asked a couple people. Most people don't know what's up. But yeah. Anyway.
Millennials.
What I was going to say is the other thing about phones, and I'll just add this one little bit because I think there's less to talk about, is having instant access to games. And I think games can be okay. I think there is a productive amount of productivity, if that's a word.
Yeah.
There's a productive amount of being unproductive. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I think phones accentuate that to the point where it's absolutely not productive any longer.
Well, it's you though. It's not the phone. It's how much.
It's how much you use it. Yeah. But the phone provides that access. Yeah.
Well, what I've noticed is like there's this whole concept of people like you need. I mean, there's like there's some movement of just sit on the toilet without going on your phone. And what that is because you need the downtime. You need that like mental, what would be the word? Like just you need your mind to be sedentary,
right,
for a while, just so you can absorb stuff, right? Because that's what dreaming is. That's what sleeping is.
Well, we think, but yeah.
So Theoretically.
We'll say that. A lot of times your dreams reflect what happened the day prior. So yeah.
And so you're rethinking, right? Or just running through different scenarios, whatever. Anyway, so you just need a lot of time you think you need time to process.
Mhm.
And I've noticed like with like Aiden, oftentimes or when I notice he feels like I notice him on his phone. So we're on the bus. He'll sit on his phone and he'll play games. This doesn't always happen because sometimes he'll just sit there and he'll like stare out the window. But when he'll get into these moods when for like a month or so, he'll just go and like catch app games and just play like Rider and like I don't know, the dagger, like throw the dagger, that kind of stuff like that.
Right.
And there's always some game like that. And then, but it's always during those times that he'll tell me, I'm just feeling really like overwhelmed with stuff right now. And I don't know if there's a correlation between the video game, like him always having to be doing something,
Right.
and just not actually thinking and not really taking in his, because after you deal with a situation, right, the situation's done, and then you can move on from it. Even if it's something you're gonna have to deal with later, you don't have to think about it, right?
Right. There's an abstraction from reality that's healthy, and then there's abstraction from reality that's not.
Because maybe I think you need a lot of that time to sit there and think about everything that you've done, even if you're not thinking about it, but just as long as you're not thinking about something else.
Right.
Because people feel overwhelmed when they're always working, right? So why is it different when you're playing a video game? Because there's no stress involved with the video game.
Right.
But I think a lot of the time when you're playing a video game, you are stressed.
It depends.
Some of the time, you're avoiding stress.
But it's different too.
It's different for different people.
Well,
different times.
humans have always had something for leisure.
Yeah.
And video games are just a new form of that. But I just think phones provide too much access to it, is all I'm saying.
Sam is trying to oppress gamers all the time.
No, but like, there's this, this is a bit of an extreme case because I've only ever seen one person do this. But in one of my classes I'm taking this summer, the teacher gives us like a 5-minute break every day. It's not much, but it's like a 2-hour class, so a 5-minute break is appreciated. The girl that sits next to me, as soon as that break starts, she grabs her phone and she's on a game.
Yeah.
Within seconds.
Yeah.
And it's like, what if I want to talk to you about something? Or what if you want to talk to somebody about something? Well, now you're not. You're just on your phone.
Well, you know what? The thing that pisses me off, like this thing I get mad about, like consciously angry about, is when I have a conversation with someone, but it's one-sided because they're on their phone playing a game.
Yeah.
It's one thing if they're texting or like maybe they're doing something kind of important, whatever. But if they're playing a game or if they're on Instagram or something, that's like,
yeah.
That's when it kind of really irks me.
I heard this thing once and I thought it was pretty funny, which is that some guy is like talking to like a seduction artist type guy, calling in like, "Hey,
Ethan Rhodes."
He's like, man, I'm always trying to like go to the bar and like all these girls on their phone. Like, how do I get past that? And the guy's like, you have to realize you have to be more interesting than the whole world that's in their hands.
That's why you be random.
And it's like, exactly. That's why you be random.
Or you show them
And it's
harbor
like,
seals. Just bring
bring it.
Harbor seal,
It's like flopping around and this on the floor. Give this seal a drink. It's thirsty. No, I thought that was a very funny, but also kind of insightful.
I've heard that, yeah, and I agree with.
You're competing with the whole world if you're trying to beat someone that's on their phone.
Right. And if you think about how long those things on the internet, how long people have to craft those things, like we're talking about preparing your speech and stuff like that, it's different than how a normal person would react. So you almost can't compete because it's not.
Yeah, that's true. Because they're just going to compare you to.
Because you're watching a video they're watching like a 10-minute video that had, it started at a 20-page script and got narrowed down.
Yeah, or have you ever seen a video of like somebody doing a skateboard trick? I heard this example today, right? Where they nailed this amazing skateboard trick, but it took them 150 fails to get to that one success.
Exactly.
That's always going to be more interesting than what you can do. Unless you can do it on the first try, which you most likely can't. So
yeah, and plus, even if you can do, one thing on the first try, you're not gonna. That's probably, chances are you've worked at that so much that that's one of like 3 things that you can do on the first try.
But then
these guys on the internet can do more than 3 things first try according to their video or whatever it is.
And that's great about the internet. I love that about the internet. But it's not genuine. You see what I mean?
Yeah, it's not genuine. I think a lot of the time it can be pretty genuine. because you can just, a lot of time people will say like, oh yeah, this took me this many tries.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of time people are pretty genuine about like that they recognize that it's ingenuine if they don't say that, if they don't acknowledge that, which I think is really cool, because I think it can be easy to lose your genuinosity on the internet, but I think a lot of time people don't, because people are people, and people are often genuine.
Right. I think it really leads to a false sense of reality and false expectations, because you see these amazing things on the internet, right? And I think to a lot of people, and I'm not immune to this, I will include myself in this, you see these people doing great things, and you don't see the countless hours that went into producing that. And then when you can't replicate it, you become disheartened. And
yeah. And then there's also like, there are people that are so amazing at things, right?
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to music, right? You're like, oh, I think I'm a pretty good musician. You go online, it's like, oh no, I'm not a good musician. Because look at these people. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you can tell that they've poured more hours into it, but they can do it in so little time. The product is so much better, right?
Right.
And it's like, a lot of the time it's talent. Not just with music, but with so many other things. You see these really talented, really intelligent people that are doing these things that you just can't reproduce as well as them, just because you're not that person. You just can't. And so I think you see a lot of those outliers, those insane outliers. And because you can see them, and because a lot of the time they're at the forefront of media,
right,
it's really disheartening.
I think,
in a sense, because you can't be one of those people.
I think something
but it is a great outlet for them. You have to admit that.
Yeah.
I think that's something that's pretty analogous to the idea of like the local musician thinking he's good, but then comparing to the rest of the world he's not, because the internet can do that now.
Right.
Is like, I see this all the time where someone's a big hotshot football player in high school.
Big fish in the little pond.
And the second they go to college, they're like, oh, never mind. Or like, it's like, dude, I was a state level high school player or whatever. But the second they take the next step up. Yeah, well, now you're competing with all state level. Everyone's a state level one. Yeah, you're not anymore.
It takes a lot of the aspects of regular human life and just accentuates it. Because it's like what I said, at the end of the day, you're always interfacing with somebody on the other side of that screen, right?
Yeah.
It greatly enhances and expedites normal interactions with other people. And I think in a lot of ways it's good, and in a lot of ways it's really bad.
Yeah, well, I've been thinking about dating apps, because like what I would think about them is, okay, here'd be my theory about dating apps, right? Okay, so you have really high expectations for people because they can, go through their portfolio, and you see all these other guys. They have to compete with all the guys and all the other girls, right? You have to so you have to compete with all that. So you have to make this amazing page that has really cool stuff. And then when the girl finally decides to go out with you, then she's disappointed.
Yeah.
Inevitably, right? She's gonna be. You're on a dating app. Of course she's gonna be disappointed by you. But then I know a lot of people who have had really long relationships that are still in them, that have met on dating apps.
Well, it's a game of chance. It really is.
But it completely goes against what I would think would work with a dating app. I just wouldn't think that they would work because of the superfluous.
I don't know. I think the most important thing about stuff like that, it's just finding people that also are it connects people that are actively looking for people.
That's the
most important part. It's not even like about the profile stuff. It's more about just the fact that you're on the website itself. That's what matters the most.
Right. But that's also why I try and say something so outlandish that nobody else will ever say it. Nobody else is going to say that. Right. So you just distinguish yourself from everybody else. And there's one dating app I saw that was only one of them is actually remotely interesting to me, and it's one that's supposed to be a deep learning thing, and it's supposed to use artificial intelligence to match you with people with similar interests, right?
Right. They all say that.
No, but this one is genuinely there's no user input at all. Basically, what it does is you input a profile, and it's very basic. It's like a picture, your name, age, stuff like that. You don't even really list interests very much. I don't think at all. And then it matches you with somebody pretty much randomly the first time. And based on your interaction with that person, it's supposed to learn which person to match you with the next time.
Did you try it?
I tried it.
Yeah.
The problem is it takes so long for it to match you with somebody. I mean, it takes weeks. And then it's somebody 3 states away, and then you just don't want to interact with them.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work. It's a very cool concept that doesn't work.
Maybe because not enough people are using it?
I think it got a pretty big bump because from Reddit, it made it to r/all on Reddit, so a lot of people joined it all at once, and then it still just is too slow. But it's even further abstracting human interactions.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's definitely not genuine.
Do you think based on like apps like that and just the different kinds of interactions that we're going to be having, do you think that we're going to get to a place where we can have more genuine interactions with people? Like where we can connect even deeper?
This is just a learning.
You mean by pairing people with similar or?
Oh, well, no, not necessarily like that. But you said that it's abstracting human.
Oh, so people have like no inhibitions or like.
So like just forming a different kind of relationship with someone, not even necessarily like online or something, but a different medium of relationship, right? Because you can have online relationships. That's
Right.
completely different from having a personal relationship one-on-one.
Right.
Like, is there going to be more of that, like that different?
Probably, but I still think it's just not human. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, I agree, and I say yes, but I think it's not human at all.
But it could be more personal. It could be more
It could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the most personal interaction you're ever going to have is face to face with somebody.
right now.
Yeah.
But in the future, we might have like, like our AI mind chips might be able to connect in a way or something.
Yeah, but I think it's less about adapting the technology and more about adapting the person and the species. People,
technology?
Yeah. Technology is going to increase faster than the human capacity to understand technology will increase. And we're going to reach a point, in my opinion, where we don't know how to use our own technology.
Okay, I see that. Yeah. So it's not about necessarily, because we are going to get the technology for it, but it's just a matter of, are our brains going to catch up? Are our ideas and concepts and our nature is going to catch up? Because
Right.
is it going to be like phones where it's just like, okay, if you're born in the generation, you kind of understand the moderation? Or is it going to be like way too far for even the new people?
Well, that's what I mean. I think we're already at that point with phones. Our phones have such a vast capacity to create
that we don't really
and to
understand
communicate, but we don't use it effectively, right? You can communicate with somebody on the other side of the world instantaneously with a cell phone, right?
Yeah.
And yet we use them to play flash games.
As opposed to learning from some of the,
Right. We don't
anyone else in the
know
world.
how to effectively use our technology, and I think that's just human nature. And I think it's going to take way too long to adapt for it to be effective.
Yeah, and also it's like what do you need to be effective too? Because you can you can talk to people on the other side of the world, but what the hell are they going to teach you?
I don't know.
There are things that you can learn from them, but why do you need to know that? You're
Right.
living here.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. We don't know yet.
Yeah, we don't know how to make those connections that are really going to benefit us. And but also we don't know, so we don't know what we're missing.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have a drive to.
We just have no idea.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
new. Yeah.
It's really cool. Like we don't know the potential. We can use them and we can get more stuff done. So it's more efficient than not having them, but we're just not quite at the peak.
Right. Well,
We
look
haven't
at
found it.
consumer processor technology or like computing technology. What do we use it? What drives the PC market?
Gaming.
Video
games.
Yeah.
Video. Yeah.
Video.
Yeah. What can you do with that processing power? You can do so much that people don't understand with that processing power. But what drives it is video games. Humans desire to play video games.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's kind of a beautiful way to drive the market, though.
It is
In a way, because
but it's inadvertent, and
because
that's
we don't
okay.
need to be efficient.
No.
We don't need to. We have in our first world countries, right? We have enough that we can be satisfied with just the things around us, right? We don't need to be more efficient, right? For the most part, we can be just as efficient as we are right now and be perfectly happy. So just playing video games is a good reason to drive the market.
Right, but all I'm saying is we just as a society we don't understand what we've built quite.
Yeah.
We,
We're on the same page. We're on the same part of the same page.
Same page in the same book and the same
yeah.
line.
On the same word.
Same word.
Maybe like a letter off.
Letter off. Okay, gotcha.
Letter off. But yeah, we're there.
But yeah, I think that's interesting though.
Yeah.
But to make a very long story, a very interesting story start. That's the reason I have this watch, is so I don't have to check my phone to look at the time.
Oh, that's a good idea because then you don't have to see the notifications.
I
and
don't
all
see
that.
anything. When I go to school or when I'm out in public at all, like especially at school, it's easy. I take my phone, I throw it in my backpack, I close the that spot, that, what do you call that? Pouch.
Yeah.
And then it's gone.
Yeah.
For the next 4 hours, it's gone. And then it's just me and whatever happens around me. And that's a good way for me to stay grounded.
So did you ever get a big problem where you had to, like, where you're like, okay, oh my God, this is actually, what am I doing with myself? Like, you look at the clock and it's been 4 hours and you're still on Instagram or something like that.
I've had problems like that in the past, but they've never really affected me so negatively that like it left a lasting impact. Yeah. But there've been enough cases where I felt like I missed out on an opportunity to either connect with somebody or
but
learn
that's the
something.
worst kind of torture, right?
Yeah. So then that made me like, when I'm at home, I don't really worry too much about how much I'm using my phone, unless I know I need to get something done. Otherwise, I'm not too concerned about wasting time because I'm at home and there's nobody else there. Right. It's just me, and I might as well go on my phone and enjoy myself a little bit, and I might even learn something. But as soon as I leave that house and I'm interacting with other people, the last thing I want to do is be on my phone and miss out.
Disconnect yourself. Yeah. Disconnect yourself from the people. Because honestly, like, at the end of the day, no matter how much you use your phone, no matter how much content other people put out that you consume on your phone, you're never going to learn. Like, you, with all the science videos that you watch, with all the the languages that you learn on your phone, you're never going to learn as much as you will just from interacting with the people around you.
Right.
So anyway,
I don't know if it's learn as much as interacting with around you, but you're never going to have the same. You're not going to have the same impactful experiences.
It's a different kind of knowledge and lifestyle for sure.
Yeah. You think that's a good note to end the podcast on?
I'm good to just keep talking, man.
I don't know what time we're at. I think we're over 2 hours.
Who
though.
cares? I need to wake up.
There's like half an hour of this that we can cut out where we're just talking about random garbage. Like literally.
No, we can leave that in.
If you want to leave it in. But it was like literally random garbage. It's up to you. It's your podcast.
I think that was fun. Eli was laughing.
Yeah. No, it was fun. But no, there's something before we talked about that where it was like actual like.
Oh, rambly.
Like we took what we were talking about in the kitchen in here. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is fine. It's just talking. And that's the objective of this. Yeah. It's just talk, in my opinion. So that's fine. Yeah. And also, as long as you're okay with it, I'm good with just still keep talking.
We can keep going.
You ever go to the movies and it's kind of late at night and you fall asleep for a part of it, but you don't really feel like you fell asleep?
When we saw Doctor Strange?
Yeah. But no, I saw Spider-Man last week really late on 3rd of July. Really late. First off, the parking lot on 3rd of July at the movie theater is insane. There's like everyone, like the whole parking lot's full of pop-up tents and people like shooting off fireworks and stuff. Seriously? In the parking lot. Yeah.
At the Regal?
Yeah. We went because we were like, we had some downtime and we're like, okay, let's go to Paul's to watch a movie and go to Walmart. So we go, and we're like, what is going on? Why is the movie theater so popping tonight?
3rd of July.
Everyone's just shooting fireworks off in its parking lot.
I bet you can see it really well from Regal.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
for sure. But it was just they're just popping off some fireworks while they're waiting.
I like that.
And
I still need to see Spider-Man. I haven't seen it yet.
I slept through most of it.
Okay.
Wait, was that because it was bad or is that
because I was very tired?
Very tired.
And I had to go because I was one of like 2 people that had a car.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I enjoyed the rides back and forth. Were really fun, and the Walmart run was fun. But I knew I was gonna fall asleep. I always fall asleep during movies.
Yeah.
The reason I brought this up though is because I think I fell asleep for a bit of that podcast, but I didn't really feel like I fell asleep.
Wait, I noticed you were gone.
Yeah.
This one. Okay.
when you and I were bouncing back a lot about phones.
Yeah.
I noticed Alex.
I think I was kind of halfway asleep.
Gone. Yeah.
That's the problem about sitting right here is I'm having a conversation with you.
Right.
And I'm expecting if Alex comes in, I can just look over at him like this, but I can only look at one of you at a time.
Well, he was involved a lot earlier.
I was. Yes.
You just checked out all of a sudden.
I think the correct term is zoinked out.
Zoinked.
Yeah, no, but I think I had that happen to me where I wasn't fully asleep, but I was like...
In your very own words, you were bongos.
Bongos. I was bongos that night. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It was kind of... Spider-Man was kind of entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
It was a kind of layer of like... there's a lot of like teenage humor, like... Bro, we're out here live streaming, which is like kind of fun to laugh at.
Right.
Which isn't inherently funny, but... I don't know.
I feel like
I don't have anything invested in.
I feel like it's all about how you set your expectations. Because I used to like hate Marvel movies. Like I would
I have nothing invested in the MCU. So.
Oh yeah, I have very little. In fact, I have none right now. Well, I won't say none, but
I liked. I really liked the original like Iron Man movie, like the first one.
The only thing in the
That was the
MCU
thing
I've
that got
seen
me
other
into
than Doctor Strange.
That's because those first movies, they had to make people come out to the movies.
Mm-hmm.
They had to make a movie that would actually draw people to the theater. When they got into late game with those movies, they didn't have to do anything.
In game with those movies.
I specifically did not